Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the stream. Let me see here. Who do we have tonight? Congrats on first wall running. Hello. Let me see. Hang on. Scrolling down. Hello, Cell. Hello, Ripley. Hello, Pocket Mochas. Hello, Sun. Let me see. Oh, wait. I hear an echo. Hang on. What did I not mute? I did not mute YouTube. There it is. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Anyways, hello, Suzu. Hello, Blazer. How are you guys doing tonight? I hope you've had a wonderful weekend. We're back for another cozy ASMR Sunday night stream. And we're going to be doing more Otherside Picnic reading again tonight. So we'll be reading files 6 and 7, and our first file 6, is the beach episode, because of course it has one. So although maybe slightly different than hi PM LYT no one wait what oh, got it. No. Also, wait, yes, no. Stay hydrated and love yourself. Yes, no. I 100% agree with Pocket Mochas. While running, do it. I mean it. Anyways, yeah. How was your guys' weekend? I hope it was good. Did you guys do anything exciting? Go see any cool things? Eat any yummy foods? Hang out with some cool people? Anything like that? Ours was kind of mostly pretty low-key. Obviously I had stream last night, but yeah, didn't do a whole lot today. Mostly just playing games and stuff. So but that's good. So you've become a bird feeder millennial. Really? Wait. Oh, meaning you own a bird feeder? I see. How has that been going? How is that? Have you gotten birds to come by yet? Is it like a hummingbird feeder or like a full birdhouse or what? I didn't realize bird feeder millennials were a thing. Is that a thing? But yeah, let me see here. As usual, you guys, let me go ahead and pull this up there. If you guys want your triggers and such, you can still absolutely request those. I just put the trigger list up on the Twitch end. Just keep in mind that outside of this first little chunk of the stream, once I get started reading the story, I'll get to triggers and chat messages and stuff when I can, mostly in between chapters and stuff. But obviously, if people raid and stuff like that, I will probably take a break and say hi to people and the like. But also, please let me know if the sound levels are okay. My audio settings for this microphone actually kind of got screwed up, so I had to kind of guess at what levels they were at again. So if I am too loud tonight, please let me know and I can turn it down. Same thing with the music. If the music is too loud or too quiet, let me know and I'll get it. Other than some squirrels, pretty good. It's a tube and a tray feeder. Have some interesting birds. Interesting. Cool. Hello, Dr. Smug. How's it going? Welcome in. Okay, let me pull up. Hang on. So we should have. Let me see here. Hello, is it Sergio or Sergo? GGL. Welcome in. Please let me know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Wait, why did the headbuds? Oh, there it is. Thank you for the hydrate also. And thank you for the follow, Sergo. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Welcome in. Okay, so let me pull this up here. Oh yeah, it already has the window captured. So we're gonna be starting on Otherside Picnic. The file name is actually the one that this cover art goes to, which is Resort Night at the Beach of the End. Let me see here. Hang on. Have to pull up. Okay, I have to find where I was. Hang on. Oh, there it is. Okay. File 6. Resort Night at the Beach of the End. Chapter 1. By the time I woke up, the sun was high in the sky, and the white sunlight shining through the gap in the curtains was blindingly bright. I had a dull headache. My body was drenched with sweat. What time did I go to sleep yesterday? With zombie-like groans, I sat up in bed. Rubbing my sleep-addled eyes, I grabbed the curtains, like I always did, and opened them without another thought. Suddenly, the pleasant air that had been maintained by the air conditioning and the cool breeze until moments ago was blasted away by the violent summer light. In bed next to me, Toriko screamed and buried her face in a pillow. "Why would you do that?" Thank you for the check-in. Unable to answer her muffled protest, I looked down at Toriko, dumbfounded. She was lying on her side, curled into a ball under the thin blanket and hugging the pillow tight to block out the sun, so that I could only see the golden hair on the top of her head glittering in the sunlight. Why is Toriko sleeping next to me? I looked down at my own body. I was wearing a t-shirt I didn't recognize. As my mind, which had been dulled by sleep, gradually awakened, more and more questions emerged. What is this place? It's a stylish wooden cottage? Bungalow? What am I doing here? Also, why is it so bright? The sunlight's so intense it made my vision white out. Why, it's almost like I'm in the tropics. Oh. It was gradually coming back to me. I squinted, looking around outside the window again. The sky was high and perfectly blue. It made a clear contrast with the bright white of the sunlight reflecting off the buildings. That's right. We were currently in Okinawa, in Naha. This was the pension where I drank a whole lot of Orion beer and just a little awamori before passing out last night. Calling it a pension made it sound like some kind of resort, but this place was smack dab in the middle of the city. It was a wooden penthouse on top of a 3-story building, and right outside our window, across a street lined with palm trees, was a big billboard for a consumer finance company. "What time is it?" Toriko asked, still holding the pillow. I looked at the clock on the headboard and answered. "Just past 10. When's checkout?" "I don't know. I mean, I didn't even remember checking in." I looked down at the floor as I stretched, and the glossy flooring was littered with our discarded clothes. Had I been sleeping in a state that let me keep my human dignity because I'd retained some degree of reason? Or had I simply passed out in the middle of stripping? I wanted water. I wanted a shower. Getting out of bed, I felt the coldness of the floor with my bare feet as I headed towards the door. Then, I noticed a Western-style toilet was installed in the room. Huh? No matter how I looked at it, it was a toilet, with a washlet, too. It was only separated from the bedroom by a waist-high screen. Could it be that this place we thought was a pension was, in fact, some sort of stylish police holding cell? In my bewilderment, I opened the door, and there was a kitchen and a living room. On the other side of the door to the living room, there was a sink, a shower, and another toilet separate from the one in the bedroom, so that was a relief. When I used the toilet and looked at myself in the mirror above the sink, a version of myself with bedhead stared back. The t-shirt had Shimanchu, meaning islander, written on it in thick brush strokes. I returned to the living room in a bit of a daze, and there I spotted 2 vinyl bags from Donkey that had been tossed on the sofa. While going over their contents, many more of my memories from last night started coming back to me. Toriko and I had headed off to save the U.S. forces stranded at Kisaragi Station, and managed to escort tens of survivors back to where they had come from, a training ground for the U.S. forces in Okinawa. Once we had seen that group, the group that called themselves Pale Horse Battalion, once we had seen off the group that called themselves Pale Horse Battalion, we found another gate not far away, and used it to return to the surface world. That was yesterday. The gate we had found led to the roof of a building looking onto Kakusaidori, or International Street, a busy street in Naha frequented by tourists. While we were happy to have come out in a convenient location, we stowed all our equipment for the expedition, especially the guns, in our bags, and the first thing we did when we got down to the ground level was have an after-party. Between the release from the intense stress and elation at suddenly being thrown into Okinawa, we were pretty pumped. First, we went to a place with private rooms where we could get some Okinawan cuisine. Toriko over-ordered, like always, and the staff worried whether we'd be able to finish it all, but we polished off the peanut tofu, Okinawan herbal tempura, sea grapes, refude pork, butter-fried ocean sunfish, papaya chanpuru, goat sashimi, and bitter gourd fried rice as soon as they came out. We ordered several rounds of drinks, and ultimately ended up drinking for around 2 hours. From there, we headed for the coast, and we started talking about doing a pub crawl. I'd had lots of firsts with Toriko, and this was my first pub crawl too. We went into the shopping arcade from Kakusaidori, turning several times without knowing where we were going, then found a bar on the hill road, and ordered some cocktails, right? After a few more drinks, we talked about whether it was really possible to slide a glass of whiskey down the counter and say, "This one's on me," and we decided we should totally try it, but I'd like to believe we never actually acted on that. There was a lot more than Orion beer and a little awamori. Well, anyway, we left that bar, had some Okinawan soba in a nearby restaurant, and because we were having such a good time, we decided to look for a place to stay the night. We were all sweaty, so we hit up Donkey for a change of clothes, did some alcohol-driven impulse buys of food and drink, caught a cab, and checked in at the inn we randomly chose and reserved online. This was the result. Picking up a fully melted ice pop, which slushed around inside its packaging, I let out a sigh. The other food here included some fish sausages, which I can only assume we'd intended to snack on while drinking. Maybe the spam onigiri and taco sushi roll were supposed to be some carbs to finish things up. As for drinks, we had 2 untouched cans of beer and 2 cans of Chuhai marked as being exclusive to Okinawa. There was a bottle of oolong tea, too. Just how much were we planning to drink? I could understand getting instant coffee, but did we need a whole jar of the stuff while on vacation? It said there was enough for 45 cups in this thing. The other bag was packed with new socks, underwear, and t-shirts. I'm sure we bought whatever as a change of clothes while we were drunk, but we'd bought too much, and the bag was packed full. I'd have to go over what was in it later. I figured for now I'd have a cup of coffee, so I poured water into the electric kettle and turned it on. While I was doing that, I found my smartphone plugged into the kitchen outlet, so I retrieved it. Even in my drunken state, I hadn't forgotten to charge it. Good job, me. Looking through my history, there was a call with Kozakura at a little past 9 o'clock the night before. I must have reported that we made it back from the other world. After that, Toriko and I had spent upwards of 4 hours periodically tormenting her with pictures of Okinawan cuisine and alcohol. The messages were all marked as read, and the only response was a stamp with an adorable animal with a pulsing vein in its forehead to express anger. Alcohol is scary. While I was feeling that keenly, the water came to a boil. I found a mug in the kitchen, opened the jar of Nescafe Gold Blend, and made some coffee. I opened the door to the bedroom, and right in front of me was the toilet behind a wooden screen. Yeah, that was really weird. Though maybe it was my preconceptions were wrong, and this was not in fact a bedroom with a toilet, but a toilet with a bed. Leaving the 2 cups and their fragrant aroma on the side table, I gave Toriko a shake. Toriko, I brought coffee. I want coffee. Which is why I brought it. It was funny hearing her spout sleep-addled nonsense. Come on, just wake up already. It's already 10:30. I put my hand on the thin blanket, then pulled it away immediately. Huh? I hurriedly returned it to where it had been. Toriko mumbled an objection, then pulled the blanket close to her. Why is this woman sleeping in the nude? As I stumbled backwards, my foot touched some of the clothes scattered across the floor. Looking down, there were, indeed, panties mixed in with them. Whoa, hold on. Give me a second here. Did this mean I'd spent the whole night sleeping next to Toriko when she was bare naked? What? For me, who had no friends in middle or high school, and had barely even touched another person, the sudden shocking revelation I'd been sharing a bed with my naked friend was too much for me. Unable to tear my eyes away from the lump on the bed, which rose and fell with each breath she took, I stood there unable to act. What was I supposed to think about this? No, maybe I didn't have to worry about it. It could be that most people slept in the buff, and I just never knew. This might not be anything to fuss about. I mean, I was starting to feel like it would be rude to bring up what state another person slept in anyway. Yeah, that was it. Besides, even when we wore clothes, humans were all naked underneath them anyways. Achoo! Just as I was getting lost in my own thoughts, Toriko sneezed and started sniffling. She hugged the pillow tighter. I'm cold. Put some clothes on. Here, the coffee's hot, so be careful, I said. It says checkout's at 12. Toriko got dressed and sat across the living room table from me, but she was probably still out of it, because I couldn't get a proper response to anything I said. Do you always sleep naked? When I'm in the mood. What did that mean? Did she go, today feels like a pajama day, or I'm feeling open-minded today, or something? I couldn't understand it at all. For breakfast, there's an onigiri or a sushi roll. Which one do you want, Toriko? Both. What? Okay, we're splitting both on. I opened the package for the spam onigiri, split it, and handed her half. Toriko took it and started munching. Her eyelids were still half closed. Toriko's t-shirt was a deep blue, with a super deformed flying fish drawn on it in white. It was just plain cute. Looking down at my Islander t-shirt, I couldn't understand it. Why did I choose something an overexcited tourist would have? Though that's exactly what I was last night. I didn't remember it all that well, but I wanted to pray that I didn't get up to any shenanigans. Hey, wasn't there something strange about the room? Oh, it seemed Toriko had begun to regain the capacity for speech. What do you mean, something? The toilet. Oh, apparently that's the style in New York? When I pulled up this place's website on my smartphone to verify what our checkout time was, that's what it said there. The interior designer told them that the current trend in New York is to combine the bedroom and bathroom, and that's what they ended up with as a result. When she heard my explanation, Toriko frowned. Someone must have been taking them for a ride, don't you think? I agree. Even if we concede that's what's in style, the bath is nowhere to be seen. I don't get it. Why just the toilet? Toriko shut her eyes tight, perhaps trying to get her still sleepy brain to boot up, and kept furrowing her brow. Maybe it's so if a New York celebrity is partying, even if they get totally wasted and need to lie down, when they feel sick, the toilet's right there to throw up in or something. Huh? You think that's why? Or when they do cocaine, if they start feeling sick, they can throw up in it. Hey, Toriko, you feeling sick? Are you going to throw up? I had the characters reversed, but my voices for them aren't that different, so who cares? Anyways. I'm fine. Just a bit out of it. I think a shower will get me thinking clearly again. Okay, then. I didn't know if this was the style in New York or not, but I wish they wouldn't do misleading things like this. Whenever I suddenly ran into something that seemed out of place in the middle of normal life, I worried it was a warning I was entering the other world. We polished off the onigiri and sushi roll, then sipped our coffee. I was looking at the shape of the mug distorted through Toriko's translucent left hand. Toriko, if you want to take a shower, hurry up and do it. We don't have a lot of time. Right. Oh, what should we do about the alcohol? Or this bottle? We can't just leave them here, huh? Feels stupid lugging all this weight to the airport, but we can't drink it all now, so... What do you mean, the airport? Huh? Naha Airport. Why are we going to the airport? Huh? To get home, of course. You realize it's already Monday, right? I've given up on making it to my classes today, but I need to go to the university tomorrow. Even though we made the trip to Okinawa? Toriko sounded dissatisfied, so I turned a suspicious eye on her. So, what if we did come here? Sorowo, did you forget what we promised yesterday? I had no clue what she was talking about. Noticing my confusion, Toriko pursed her lips. We said we'd go to the sea, didn't we? The sea? I parroted back at her. That's right. We got so excited about Okinawa's beaches, we even brought swimsuits. I don't know what happened to her earlier drowsiness, but Toriko's eyes were sparkling now. The blue sea, the white sand. The weather's so perfect, we absolutely must go. We're visiting a summer resort together, Sorowo. I stared vacantly at Toriko, who had returned to her usual level of excitement in no time. We bought swimsuits? Together? Me, going to the sea. Swimsuits. A beach resort. Seriously? Thank you so much for the follow. Is it Aroge waffles or Roge waffles? Am I pronouncing either of that correctly? But yes, welcome in, welcome in. Hello, Zen. How's it going? How many files are there? I don't actually know. There are, I believe, 8 novels. We're currently on novel 2. So, probably like, what? That would be 24 files, probably. Elsa looks so good. You're so excited. Oh my gosh. Yeah, she looks really awesome. She really does. I'm excited for her as well. Need her to yell at me every time I try. Oh my god. Her lobby partner avatar thing, commentator person thing is going to be insane because she will just yell at you the whole time. I'm positive. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting for sure. But yeah, no, I'm so excited. I did see that as well, and that was really cool. Looking forward to her coming out. Tall lady yelling at me to get good. Right? Oh my god. It's gonna be wild. So, the best motivator, right? Mm-hmm. Let me see here. Her gameplay, it does, honestly, it really does, because, like, I realized that, like, people were kind of like, oh, well, she's definitely gonna be a zoner, and she's not really. She's more, like, Noelle Vermillion, Kaguya, like, gun kata rushdown, basically, which I think is honestly a way more interesting take on the character than if she was just Eustace again, right? No happy chaos, right, exactly. I'm not surprised, honestly. I had a feeling that was the version we were going to get, so I'm not that surprised that that's what we got. So, anyways, let me go ahead. Thought she was 2 because Meg was the rushdown character of the season. Right. Yeah, no, it is actually a little surprising that we got 2 back-to-back, but I feel like she's going to be different enough from Meg that it probably will be fine. So, there's the fizzy water. Okay. Let me see here. Give me 1 second here. Today's fizzy water is blood orange flavor. little sad we didn't get a crumb for season 3 reveal. Yeah, stop teasing us. No, for reals. I've been seeing some people talk about it, and I think the general consensus is that we're probably not going to hear about season 3 for a while. But I would also be like shocked if we didn't get one. Had to make sure you got it before you got back into it. Yes, good timing. Good timing. Honestly, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, I don't think this is gonna happen, but it wouldn't surprise me that much if we got a season 3 reveal at the end of Frosty. Because they have done reveals at Frosty Faustings before. I don't think that's gonna actually happen. Although, they may actually have a playable build for Elsa there, because they had one for Sandalphon. No. Yes, it was for Sandalphon before. So, there we go. Thank you for that redeem while running. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let's see if there's any more little tiny bit of bubble sounds. Did you ever figure out what is up with Ko-Fi, or should I? Well, so I haven't yet. I wasn't in a rush to do it today just because I wouldn't have it turned on for this stream anyways, so excuse me. So yeah, we'll figure it out on Tuesday for sure. Okay, so it was blood orange flavor, which actually is like, I think blood orange tends to be fairly intense in most like contexts, but this one, it's just like a pretty pleasant, citrusy taste. Actually, the intensity of it kind of weirdly makes it taste sweeter than a blood orange would normally taste. Because like blood oranges are already kind of bitter, right? So like, the lack of sweetness in the fizzy water, like, feels natural for that, I guess. So, in any case, let's see here. Chapter 2. Yes, she was serious. The donkey bag, which I had... Hang on, 1 second. Oh my gosh, I think I got that in time. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Let me try that again. Hello, Ing. How's it going? Welcome in. Yes, she was serious. The donkey bag, which I had thought only contained a change of clothes, contained a swimsuit, towel, sunscreen, basically everything needed to go have fun on the beach. Just how bad did we want to go to the beach last night? Once Toriko and I got back on her usual groove, she moved fast. She took a quick shower, came out in nothing but a t-shirt and panties, and said, "Leave the packing to me," and shoved me into the bathroom in her place. In the shower, I tried to prepare myself emotionally. I hadn't worn a swimsuit since the pool in primary school. What was the sea like again? I didn't remember. I knew I'd seen photos from when Mom was still alive that suggested that she had taken me to swim in the sea somewhere, but I was really little, like 1 or 2 at the time, so I hardly remembered it at all. Dad was sane back then too, so the 3 of us all looked so happy in that picture. I wondered if that picture was still sitting there, in our empty family home. A swimsuit, huh? Even the thought of it intimidated me. I still hadn't seen exactly what kind of swimsuit I'd bought yesterday, but what was I going to do? I was guaranteed to look weird. I mean, I didn't know anything but my school swimsuit. I couldn't imagine I'd managed to choose anything halfway decent while drunk. I was already hesitant enough about going somewhere as sunny as the beaches of Okinawa in summer. I didn't hate going outdoors, but that was only if I was going somewhere with no other people. I didn't want to go to a crowded beach. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I agonized over it as the hot water lashed at me, until I heard Toriko's voice from outside the bathroom. Sorowo, you okay? There's only 15 minutes to go. Huh? No way. I'll be right out. Okay, I'll get your change of clothes ready. I hurriedly turned off the shower and rushed out. With no time to dry my hair, I just wiped it off quickly and returned to the living room. The new t-shirt that came out of the donkey bag had a goat in a pot on it. Cute. I wore the t-shirt on top of a camisole with my usual jeans underneath, and flower print sandals on my feet. On my head, I wore a gray newsboy hat with the brim low over my eyes. The colored contact was buried somewhere in my bags, so my blue right eye was exposed. Toriko wore a one-piece dress with long-laced UV protection gloves, deep blue leather sandals, a wide-brimmed straw hat, and sunglasses. The perfect summer outfit. I looked at the images of us reflected in the mirror with exasperation. We're totally dressed for fun, I cried in disbelief. You were so into it when we talked about going to the seaside last night, Sorowo, Toriko said with a smirk. No, she's lying. I refuse to believe it. Toriko had more or less sorted out all our baggage, so we just barely managed to check out in time. Though maybe there was no need to hurry. Once we went down to the ground floor of the building where our pension was located, we put a key in a basket left out on the front desk, and that was all we had to do to check out. The moment we left the air-conditioned building, the air was hot and humid, and the southern sun beat down on us relentlessly. If we basked in it too long, we would no doubt crumble to ash. For someone like me who was born in Akita, where we didn't get much sunlight, the July sun in Okinawa was a dangerous weapon. Wow, this really is something, huh? You'll burn in no time. Toriko narrowed her eyes beneath the brim of her hat. We were some distance from the center of Naha, so no matter where we planned to go, we were going to need a car. Along the straight road, there were buildings here and there, which had their outer walls damaged by exposure to the sea breeze. The sun shining from straight above made it seem as though the town had lost all its shadows. Looking both ways down the street, I didn't see many people. When I thought about it, not many people would actively choose to walk around during the hottest time of the day. Let's flag down a cab. If we keep walking like this, we're going to dry up, I said. As we watched darkly tanned men on bicycles, scooters, and cars with Okinawan plates pass us by, we were acutely aware that we were losing our hydration. Fortunately for us, a taxi stopped before we turned into two enthusiastic tourists dried up and stuck to the pavement. I don't think the large plain backpack that contained all of our equipment really went with our current attire, but the middle-aged driver didn't give it any special attention. We wanted to go to the beach. Any places you'd suggest? Toriko asked without hesitation. She said she was shy, but when I saw her in situations like this, she sure didn't seem it. I wonder if the reason she was so curt with Pale Horse Battalion was because she'd been tense at the time. Oh, sure. Would you like a place that's popular? I'd prefer somewhere without people, I interjected despite myself. No one around, quiet, but still a good spot. In that case, I'll take you to Nizokobama and Nadabaru. There's no one around there. Sure, let's go with that. I didn't know either of those proper nouns, but I nodded anyways. Yeah, I like quiet places too. I'd expected her to object, but it seemed Toriko agreed with me. Oh, but it'd be inconvenient if there were no stores there. Maybe we ought to buy something on the way? You said it. Excuse me, do you think we can swing by a convenience store, if there is one? When the taxi started to move, and we were finally able to relax in our seats, the taxi started to move, and we were finally able to relax in our seats. We left the road lined with used car lots and family restaurants, and got onto a major road with more traffic. A fence belonging to the American military base continued along the side of the road. I wonder what happened to the guys from Pale Horse Battalion. I pray they never wander into the other world again, and that, no matter what, we never run into them in the surface world. While I was thinking that, the fence ended, and the sea came into view. "Wow!" Toriko exclaimed. I couldn't help but lean in, too. The emerald green sea, which seemed to deepen further from the shore, was so beautiful it even entranced me, who was less than enthusiastic about all this beach and resort stuff. "This'll be fun. I haven't been to the sea at all since coming back to Japan," Toriko said gleefully. "Did you go often when you were overseas?" "My parents would take me in the summer. Back when we lived in Vancouver, we did stuff like participated in the parade at Sunset Beach. It was fun." It was like she lived in a whole other world from me. "Oh, yeah. I only know the Sea of Japan." "Does the Sea of Japan not have anywhere to swim?" "It does, but..." "Let's go there next, then. Would you show me around?" "I wouldn't mind." I found myself at a loss for words. There were the bad memories involving my family, but compared to the Okinawan Sea before our eyes right now, I couldn't deny the Sea of Japan lacked color. Oh, right. Don't forget your sunscreen. Toriko, you've got fairer skin than me, so if you let your guard down, you're in for a rough time." "Oh, yeah, that's right. I turn all red." I put on sunscreen myself when Toriko was done, and then had the taxi stop at a nearby convenience store. We bought a collapsible cooler, water, drinks, and food, then had the taxi take off again. Inside the air-conditioned vehicle, my mind started getting hazy. The driver was quiet, and the radio kept playing some sort of traditional folk song, or children's song, or something. "Oh, the blue moonlit seashore. Nachitui, who searches for Aya, is born from the land of waves, with wet wings of silver. Oh, the sadness of Nachitui, crossing the sea in search of Aya, vanishing into the land of moonlight, 1,000 shorebirds with silver wings." Toriko was leaning with her head against the window, her eyes closed. Was she asleep, maybe? Her light pink lips, as young and fresh as a small child's, were slightly parted. As I looked at her defenseless face in profile, I noticed that at some point the car had entered a residential district. From the crimson roof and cobblestones, stone cheeses watched us with wide eyes. Suddenly, I noticed a shuffling sound from the navigator's seat. I took a peek, and there was a small spiral shell there. On closer inspection, there were legs and pincers sticking out. It was a hermit crab. There was sand piled up around the hermit crab, like a little garden built on top of the seat. The strong sunlight shining through the front windshield made the white sand shine like silver. As I watched it flash and shimmer, my mind grew hazier and hazier. I sank into the seat, my consciousness fading away. Let me see here. Thank you for the hydrate, Callium. Also, hello. And the posture check and the head pats. Thank you for the lurk support as well. Yule is what you're working on. Oh, you finished. That's right, you did finish that, Ing. I saw that. Congratulations, by the way. Yule is what you're working on. That's wild. We're both working on Yule. You're probably doing way better with her than I am. I'm still trying to figure her out, to be honest. Okay, let's see here. I'm also going to be doing UL next. I finished Vanilla this weekend, so yeah, UL is next. I think probably. At least I can steal the stuff you posted. True, if I can, execute it. I've been having trouble doing the basics so far, so we'll see how that goes. Chapter 3. Hey, Sorrow, wake up! I woke to my shoulder being shaken. Sorry, I was out cold. Flustered, I sat up, rubbing my eyes, and asked Toriko, "Are we there? How much was the fare?" "I don't know. I mean, the driver's gone." What? Looking around, I finally realized how abnormal our situation was. the heck is this? I'd been dozing off in a wreck. The seat under me was falling apart. The 4 doors were all missing, and there was no trace of any of the glass. The seat was occupied by a tree which had grown through the floor and had spread its leaves. The navigator's seat had a pile of sand on it that looked like it had burst out of the dashboard. There were some traces of some small living creature having crawled across it. Was that the hermit crab I'd seen before drifting off? It was like this when I woke up. I have no idea what's going on, Toriko said in bewilderment. Hesitantly, I looked outside. The body of the car, with its paint stripped back and showing rust underneath, was wrapped in vines from plants growing out of the ground. Under the flat tires was a cluster of bindweed. It formed a carpet of green that covered the entire area, with pink flowers blooming on top of it. The gentle slope covered in bindweed had white sand at the bottom of it, and beyond it was a sea that shone like turquoise. The sky stretched high above the horizon, and clouds reflected the color of the sea. Far off the coast, there was a massive rock lying on its side that was so big it might have been mistaken for a wall. In the middle of an incredible silence, all we could hear was the sound of the waves and the wind. Breaking the tranquility, Toriko asked, "Is this the other world?" "Probably. See anything that looks dangerous?" I looked around with my right eye. Nothing shone silver. "Looks like we're safe for the moment, at least." "Okay, in that case," Toriko walked forward resolutely. Whoa, what are you gonna do?" "Let's go check it out. Whether this is the surface or the other side, we've made it to the beach." "Isn't that being overly optimistic?" "Well, hey, it's the sea," Toriko said, pouting. "We came to play around together. I'm not gonna let it be ruined like this. It's safe, right? Let's go. We've got guns if we need them." But... When I acted hesitant, Toriko spoke up impatiently. "Hey, we came all the way to the sea, right? We can't let ourselves get spooked so easily." Sure. No, are you serious? I get that you really want to play around, but here?" Ignoring my hesitance, Toriko started walking on her own. I guess it didn't leave me with much choice. I reshouldered my bags and chased after Toriko. When we got down to the beach, I could feel the hot sand touching my feet through the sides of my sandals. I didn't see any glitches or monsters. For now, it looked like any ordinary beach. However, as far as the eye could see, there wasn't a soul around. The sandy beach continued to the left and right. On the far right, there was a breakwater, tetrapods, and a little lighthouse. On the left side, the sand ended where it hit another breakwater. There were a number of buildings up the slope. Was that wooden 2-story building a beach house or something? "Think there's somewhere to change?" Toriko asked, looking around the area. "Why?" "What do you mean, why? We're going to put on swimsuits, right? I'm not big on the idea of changing here where there's absolutely nothing." Yeah. It seemed Toriko had her mind made up. "Okay," I said. "Let's take a look at that building. There might be a changing room." I pointed to the top of the slope, and Toriko nodded. We climbed the slope, leaving tracks in the sandy beach as we went. Climbing a half-buried set of stone stairs, we came out to a paved road. Here and there were remains of abandoned cars and stalls. The building we had our eye on was a beach house, like I had suspected. On the other side of the front room, which had a dirt floor and was open to the street, there were a number of tatami rooms with low tables. The sign on top of the roof was discolored, and I couldn't make out what it said. We walked under the eaves and took a peek inside. It was a total ruin. The menu on the wall was in that strange script peculiar to the other world, and that made me kind of sad. There should have been lots of fun words like yakisoba and snow cones written there, but I couldn't read any of it. There was no one around, staff or otherwise, and the iron grill they would have made yakisoba on was covered in sand that had blown in, while the crushed ice machine was lying on the floor in pieces. Toriko searched through our bags and retrieved the flashlight and her Makarov. She inserted the magazine, pulled the slide, and checked that the bullet had been chambered. "What are you going to do?" "I'll go clear the place," Toriko said. Wait, I'll go with you." I dug my own Makarov out of the backpack and skipped out on using the holster. Wiping my sweaty palms on my jeans, I held onto the grip. "Sorry for the holdup. I'm good to go." Toriko nodded. I'll look on ahead, so you watch our backs, Sorabo. Okay. Leaving our bags out under the eaves, we passed through the main room of the beach house. It got darker as we went in deeper, so Toriko flicked on the flashlight. Holding the flashlight backhanded, next to her face, it cast a cone of light which illuminated a case of beer lying on its side and a stack of chairs in the darkness. The windows lining the hall were all papered over from the inside with yellowed newspaper. It was, of course, all illegible. Toriko lowered her voice. Let's open all the windows. I'll keep watch, so could you do it? Gotcha. Be careful of the floor, okay? We're in sandals, so we'd better be sure not to step on any nails or glass. Okay. I tore down the deteriorating newspapers. Once the glass windows were opened and the shutters to the outside were too, light and wind blew away the stagnant air in the building. There was a kitchen, toilet, and a break room for employees. Having finished checking the front rooms, we went down the short hall that led to a series of large tatami rooms. This section was built like a boarding house, with large baths and sinks, and the cupboards in the kitchen that all held a large number of the same kind of plate. In the laundry room, where many washers and dryers were lined up, there was a dusty pile of linens. By the time we reached the back door, opening every window as we went, the first floor was so bright it was unrecognizable. The torn newsprint on the floor made rustling sounds as it was blown around by the wind. Toriko breathed a sigh of relief, then lowered the flashlight. That's the first floor clear. I'd like to look at the second floor too, but... We both looked up at the ceiling. There's no sound. Yeah. This place is a ruin. We'd found a staircase leading to the second floor on the way through, but there were dining trays laid on each step, and it wouldn't be easy to go past them. Taking a quick peek, the trays carried used plates and bowls, and there was dried rice stuck to them. Well, I guess it's fine. This place seems safe. Let's go play. Okay. Toriko, who seemed to have gotten tired of this, went right out the back door. I followed. The back of the building was a gloomy forest, and it seemed unwise to set foot inside it now. We circled around the outside of the building back up to the front. There, I found shower stalls with curtains, and came to a stop. Hey, couldn't we have gotten changed here? Oh, nice idea! Toriko said that so easily. I felt deflated. All that time we spent clearing the building was wasted. Better safe than sorry. It wasn't a waste. This after she blew off checking the second floor. Toriko pulled another paper bag out of the donkey bag, tossing it over to me. Here's yours, Sorabo. Oh, okay. What's wrong? You look uneasy. Yeah. I haven't worn a swimsuit in front of anyone since I was in primary school. It's embarrassing, to be honest. I'm worried I'll look weird, I confessed. Toriko smiled. You'll be fine. I mean, I'll be wearing one too. You're fine because you have a great figure. The moment I said that, I had a flashback to the glimpse I'd gotten of Toriko as she was sleeping this morning, and I got flustered. While I was scratching my cheek and trying to regain my senses, Toriko looked at me with worry. Do you have, big scars or tattoos or something you'd rather not let me see? If so, I'm sorry for not being more considerate. Huh? Oh, no, it's nothing like that. Well, okay then. But even if it was, I wouldn't let it bother me, whatever your skin looks like, Sorabo. Sure. How could this girl say a thing like that so easily? Okay, so let's get changed and go. At Toriko's urging, I nodded my head. Chapter 4. Oh, I see. Looking at my swimsuit, it made an odd amount of sense to me. Why was that? It was a parka. I was wearing a striped bikini top and shorts with a rash guard parka over the top. If I closed up the front of it, it didn't look all that different from usual. It was just that trading the jeans for shorts meant you could see my bare legs. It's very me, I thought. I hated myself a little for the fact that even when thoroughly sloshed, I still couldn't be very bold. I checked myself in the mirror at the shower stall. After considering it for a while, I decided to leave the parka open. When I left the stall, Toriko was just coming out of the one next to me. She wore a black bikini and a flower patterned cardigan. Her mature and elegant sexiness was softened by the cute feeling of her sunglasses and straw hat. Her basic appearance was solid too, so she looked crazy good. I was just thin and muscular, but Toriko's tight muscles still maintained a soft roundness too. She could easily have made it as a fashion model. While I was staring at her, Toriko looked at me and smiled. "Looking good, Sorobo. That's cute." "Uh-huh. You think so?" I had been disappointed with myself until just moments ago, but the moment Toriko paid me a compliment, I got all giddy. I cleared my throat to hide the way my voice had gotten shrill with excitement. You look good too. You're pretty." I thought I'd go for a simple compliment, but I trailed off, and my voice turned into a whisper. Toriko smiled and was about to say something, but she suddenly covered her mouth with the back of her hand and looked away. Looking at her face in profile, she'd turned red. "Thanks." Was she feeling shy? Toriko avoided making eye contact with me, even through her sunglasses. The beach house. Yeah, we can go back to the beach house one more time. Or can we go to the beach house one more time? There's some things I want to bring along. Thank you for the check-in, Starlight Princess. Welcome in. The lesbians are being lesbians. It's great. Was she feeling shy? Toriko avoided making eye contact with me, even through her sunglasses. The beach house. Yeah, can we go back to the beach house one more time? There's some things I want to bring along. The way that Toriko got all flustered over my compliments, even when she had to be well aware that she was pretty and that her outfit looked good on her, was a little funny. It turned out what Toriko wanted to bring along was a beach parasol that had been abandoned in the corner of the beach house, as well as some white plastic deck chairs, not desk chairs. I found these while we were clearing the building. Nice, huh? Toriko had gotten back into her usual groove and sounded proud of herself when she said that. On closer inspection, despite some sand and dust, they still looked usable. Okay, fair enough. I'm sure we'll want these sort of things out on the beach. I know, right? But how do you plan to bring them? Work hard at it together? We were both hauling heavy bags of our own, along with a cooler and the donkey bag with our change of clothes in it. Yet still, we ended up dragging a parasol and 2 deck chairs behind us down the beach too. Do you think this is good? Toriko came to a stop about 10 meters from the water's edge. It's good enough. Jeez. Okay, let's set up the parasol then. We put down our heavy luggage there and began setting up camp. Thrusting the parasol as firmly into the sand as we could, we then placed our backpacks at the base of it for support. Unfolding the 2 deck chairs and laying them out beneath the parasol, we then put a sheet and the cooler down between them. The macrobes went on top of the sheet too. We opened up a package of wet wipes we'd gotten from the convenience store and wiped the dust off the deck chairs. Okay, that about does it, I guess. It's perfect, Toriko declared, laying down on one of the deck chairs. You too, Sorobo. Hurry. Yeah. I stretched on the chair next to her and felt the tension draining away. In my field of vision, I could see Mai and Toriko's legs, and beyond them the southern seas spread out. That bluish-green color was indescribably beautiful. The waves which came in and went back out, the scent of the sea breeze, this really was the perfect summer resort. If you ignored the perfectly bizarre environment we were in, that is. What do you figure that is? Toriko asked listlessly. Who knows? Alcatraz Penitentiary, maybe? That's an awfully big penitentiary, huh? We were looking at a great gray structure floating off in the distance. It had to be hundreds of meters across. It was simple, like a shopping mall made all of concrete, and consisted of several floors. I could see several long ramps and what looked like spiral staircases, but couldn't see anyone traversing them. The reason I had been able to be instantly certain we'd entered the other world was because as soon as we'd exited the ruined car, we'd spotted this bizarre contraction. Hey, Toriko, think we should get out the rifles? Yeah, just to be safe. Yeah, safe. I got up, then pulled the bundle containing my disassembled assault rifle out of my backpack. I sat down on my deck chair and watched Toriko as she quickly assembled it. Sorry to make you do this all the time. You should learn too, Sorabo. I'll get you able to disassemble and clean it in the dark. I don't need to be able to do that much. She put a magazine of 5.56 rounds in place, then pushed in the bolt release lever. I'd learned that much, so I could do it myself too. Now that the M4 CQBR was ready to shoot at any time, she engaged the safety and stood it up next to the parasol. Toriko then prepared her own AK-101 before returning to lie down on her deck chair again. Okay, and we're good. Want something to drink? Oh yeah, let's have a toast. I opened the cooler and extracted 2 cans of Orion beer. They fizzed as we opened them with the pull tab, and we knocked our cans together. Yay! Cheers. To what? Well, not like it matters, I guess. If I just ignored that this was the other world, the beer tasted good, the sea breeze felt refreshing, and Toriko and I had this pretty beach to ourselves. Was this not perfection? The beer you drink... hang on. Yeah. The beer you drink while skipping class at a beach in Okinawa tastes super great. I may be done for. You may well be. I was planning to just take a plane back like normal, but now that I think about it, what was I planning to do with the guns? I asked. When we were drinking last night, we talked about taking them apart and sending them home by mail or courier. What? That'd never work. They'd have to take a plane from Okinawa. I'm sure they'd get x-rayed. Even if we're splitting up the parts, we'd have to do it really well. I mean, one look at the shape of the bullets would be a dead giveaway. Even as I said this, I was surprised at how antisocial this conversation we were having was. You figure? Talking things over when we're both drunk didn't help much, huh? I'm just glad we didn't act on it. It's a bit of a shame, but I guess we'll have to ditch them. That, or we go back through the other world. What? From here? I twisted my head around to look behind me. I didn't think I wanted to set foot in the gloomy woods behind the beach house, and who knew where the path along the seaside went? I don't think that's happening. It'd be good if this was connected to the terrain of the other world that we know, though. We'd want to get a look from up high, yeah. That lighthouse is about our only option for that, right? It doesn't look all that tall. Having slowly sipped her first can of Orion beer until it was empty, Toriko sat up in her deck chair. Want to go check out the shore? Sure. We left the shadow of the parasol and approached the sea, bringing the Makarovs with us, just in case. The water was clear, and we could see the sands of a wide, shallow beach. We found shells lying on the sandy beach and tried throwing them into the sea. There was no hissing and smoke, so I carefully tried dipping the bottom of my sandal into the water. Seems fine. Score! Toriko took her sandals off and stepped barefoot into the water. I'd been focusing my consciousness into my right eye in preparation for if something attacked us, but didn't spot any especially suspicious movement. I followed Toriko into the sea. The waves washed against my ankles. The cold water felt good. I walked over to Toriko, who was in up to her thighs. Toriko had her eyes fixed in the direction the waves were coming from, towards the horizon. How far do you think the sea goes? All the way up to Nirakanai, maybe. What's that? The Okinawan afterworld, sort of. I've just given the sort of half-assed answer that would have gotten my anthropology teacher mad at me, but Toriko nodded as if it made sense to her. Okay, 1 second. We have a picture. It is Sorabo and Toriko in the water in their swimsuits. So we've got Sorabo right here and Toriko. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna take a drink and whoops, shit. Let me see here. Okay. Guess what you're holding in your left hand? The Ring of Power. It's like the end of the world, after all. Those words struck a chord in my heart. If I was alone with Toriko, on a beach at the end of the world, if it's this quiet, and we're together, I wouldn't mind staying forever. That thought suddenly crossed my mind. I never thought I'd enjoy the sea so much. Toriko looked at me in surprise. Why? It's just, I felt like the sea wasn't the place for me. It was a scary place, full of party animals. It's not all that scary. Not for you, I'm sure. I was scared, to the point where I'd agonized that much over putting on a simple swimsuit. There's this song, Angura People's Summer Holiday. The lyrics are about otaku, hikikomori, and other social outcasts coming out to play on the beach in the middle of summer. I liked that song, you know? Angler people? Do they come up out of the sea? Huh? No, they don't come out of... I don't think they came from the sea, just land, like normal. Oh, so they have lungs to breathe. Yeah, they can, even if they are underground people. Well, anyway, thanks for bringing me out here. I felt like she was misunderstanding something, but whatever. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. I'm always making you go along with my selfishness, so I was worried you might not like it, Toriko said happily. I'm so glad we could come together. I went to the beach with my parents a lot, but this is my first time coming with a friend. It is? You didn't come with Satsuki-san? I was about to ask, then didn't. That's why I wanted to come so badly. I made a friend, so I was thinking I wanted to do all the things friends do. Though, I think I might have been a bit pushy. Oh, you were aware of that? So I was being pushy. The way she obsessed about having after-parties might have been an effect of Toriko's image of friendship, too. I felt like it was maybe a bit warped, but who was I to talk? I didn't know what the right things to do with a friend were, either. Well, we're here already, so let's do all the beach stuff we can. Yeah! Toriko's voice rose excitedly as she responded to me. It's a Switch game, but which one? Switch Sports. Anyways. Chapter 5. Thank you for the check-in, gamers. Welcome in. Here is my list of things to do on the beach with a friend. Drink booze? Already done. Have a barbecue? No equipment. Play beach volleyball? No ball. Play in the sand? I'd want a shovel. Play beach flags? Too tiring. Hit on people? There was surprisingly a lot less to do than I'd thought. That being the case, we drank and took shots out into the ocean, our targets being the driftwood floating between the waves. The sound of 5.56 ammo being fired echoed across the white sands. I used the M4 CQBR that I'd borrowed. Well, no, I guess I was only supposed to be borrowing it until we escaped from Kisaragi Station, so technically I had nicked it from Pale Horse Battalion for the first time. The driftwood rose and fell on the other side of the scope. The gun would kick back each time I pulled the trigger, and I just couldn't seem to hit it. Don't try to stabilize it with your arms. Place the stock tight against your chest. If you do that, you can absorb the recoil with your whole body. Don't be afraid. Relax and hold the gun like you're hugging it. I fired single shots as Toriko explained it to me, her third can of Chuhai in hand. I raised several pillars of water in the vicinity of the target before, finally, blasting the surface of the driftwood. I hit it! Good! Toriko gave me a high five. Was this really okay? Well, Toriko seemed to be enjoying herself, so it was probably fine. Okay, I'll go next. Toriko set down her Chuhai, readied herself with the AK, then started firing away. I sipped an iced coffee with Awamori as I watched the thick piece of driftwood disintegrate before my eyes. Her gun had no scope, unlike mine, and yet she didn't miss a single shot. When Toriko finished shooting, I clapped. Wow, that was awesome. I'm good now, but I couldn't hit a thing at first, you know. Mama was teaching me, but I think it must have been hard for her. Your mom must have been a good teacher, huh? Nah, not really. If anything, Mom was awkward. Really? Well, I'm going to try shooting some more. Handing the container of alcohol off to Toriko, I readied the M4 and looked through the scope. I took aim at something in my field of view, which had been magnified 4 times. Huh? What's that? Is there something floating on the other side of the target? There was something big floating beyond the driftwood. The waves washed over a roundish white mass. It looked like it might be hairy, so I thought it could be an animal, but it was just floating there, with no sign of movement. You're right. There's something there. Try shooting it? While we were fretting over what to do, voices came to us on the wind, the frivolous-sounding laughter of multiple men. We looked at one another. Someone's here? Other than the 2 of us? The moment I had that thought, I was hit with a violent and unpleasant sensation. Following the laughter, there was the dull sound of something soft being struck, and a muffled cry. Toriko turned to face the pier stretching away from the beach house. That way. Toriko snatched the Makarov from the deck chair and walked off without hesitating. I hurried to follow her. What are you going to do? I don't know, but this smells like trouble. You might not want to watch, Sorabo. I may not seem like it, but I think I've seen a whole lot more scary stuff than you have, Toriko. Toriko turned back to glance at me, a look of surprise on her face. I was thinking, how do you like that? When Toriko asked, Sorabo, could you shoot a person? Huh? A person? I wonder. I couldn't answer immediately. I agonized over it as we returned to the sandy beach, climbed the stone steps, and got out on top of the pier. Immediately, human figures came into view. Lots of them. 4 were standing, while another 3 cowered. All of them were men. The 4 included a man in a jersey, a man in a tank top who had a tan, a man with a colored mohawk, and a skinhead. The 3 on the ground were smaller, maybe middle school age? 2 of them had fallen in unnatural positions, and they weren't moving. The other was curled into a ball, quivering. Mohawk Man kicked the kid's head like it was a soccer ball. The kid's head bounced off the concrete with a loud echo. Stop! Toriko boomed from in front of me, holding the Makarov in both hands. The 4 turned. When their gazes fell upon us, my body instinctively tensed. These guys were bad news. They were what I might have called thugs. There was a violence in their eyes that was a step up from mere delinquents. If you don't back away from those kids, I'll shoot. Toriko's voice was incredibly cold. There was an intensity in it even greater than the time we met Alvarado. This was the first time I was seeing Toriko serious. It sent chills down my spine. The man with the mohawk let out a shrill laugh. Good evening, Toriko Nishina-san. The fact that Toriko's name had just come out of the mouth of a thug we didn't recognize made us both stop in surprise. The other men spoke in turn. Hey, someone's getting ahead of herself. What's wrong? You want us to kill them? Well, she's got guts. I bet she's not even afraid of us. The man in the tank top looked at the fallen, unmoving boy's face and shouted, Whoa! He's dead! Aw, jeez. Now we got a murder on our hands. What a weakling. Let's do her next. The thugs approached, smirking. They seemed unfazed by the gun pointing at them. Did they think it was fake? Or assume she couldn't shoot? Even if they did, it was odd not one of them mentioned the gun. But no, more than that, why did they know Toriko's name? In our moment of confusion, the men got right up close to us. Because they'd stopped us, Toriko's response was delayed. When I saw the depraved look on the face of the man reaching for Toriko, my head cooled rapidly. I raised my gun, took aim, and pulled the trigger. The bullet expelled from the M4 hit the man in front of the group, the one with the mohawk, and appeared to be sucked into his throat. The muzzle raised from the recoil, causing the second shot to miss. Ignoring Mohawk as he slumped to the ground, I aimed my gun at the next one. Lowering the muzzle, I aimed for the abdomen. It was a large target. Still, of the 3 shots I fired, only 1 landed. Where was I? Still, of the 3 shots I fired, only 1 landed. Hitting him in the crotch, he went down like the legs had been swept out from under him. Toriko fired 2. 2 shots from the Makarov struck Tank Top right in the center of his chest. She backed up to stand beside me and fired twice more. The 4th man's head shot back, and he fell backwards to the pavement. The echoes of the gunshots... Thank you for the check-in, Spike Kirby. Welcome in. The echoes of the gunshots faded. The 4 who had fallen did not move. When I took a deep breath, the gun smoke tickled my nose. I was able to shoot, I mumbled, lowering the M4. You okay, Sorowo? Toriko put a concerned hand on my arm. Yeah, I'm fine. Really? My response may have been too easygoing, because the look of concern on Toriko's face got even worse. Listen, I don't know what to tell you, but when someone's trying to destroy me, it seems I can shoot just fine. Destroy you? I don't just mean physically, but emotionally, too. When I tried to explain, it came out strangely stilted. Toriko raised her eyebrows. Sorry. I should have been the one to shoot. I'm sorry, she said. Don't look so worried, Toriko. I put my own hand on top of the one that Toriko had put on my arm. I'm sure you planned to shoot, too. I could see you were in serious mode. That's why I was able to shoot. I was able to support you when your reaction was slow, so it all worked out in the end. But... When Toriko continued to protest, I raised a hand to silence her. Besides, those guys aren't human. Huh? I looked at the men, focusing my mind on my right eye. There was a scrap of fishnet, dried up seaweed, a bottle of detergent, a faded fishing bob, and a hook. Basically, it was a pile of all the stuff you might find on the beach, and it was in a shape that looked like a person. These guys must have been a phenomenon from the other world, just like the time spaceman that appeared in human form. I had a flash of insight just before I shot. There was something that felt off about this from the beginning, right? We'd been shooting for a while now, but they showed no signs of noticing, and though the things they said sort of matched the situation, they were kind of off too. Really? They didn't look like anything other than human to me, you know. As Toriko spoke, 2 of the masses which still had heads raised them slowly and shouted as if they were going to attack. Hey, hurry it up! The king of the coast is coming! I'd been letting my guard down, so I jumped. With the Makarov in one hand, Toriko quickly took aim and shot. Crack, crack. 2 shots rang out in quick succession, and 2 heads burst. Jeez. Being caught by surprise must have frustrated her, because Toriko raised her voice in anger. My pulse was still racing. That surprised me. Surprised me, too. It's fine. Just take a deep breath. Toriko rubbed my back through the rash guard I was wearing with her left hand. Her hand was trembling a bit, too. Thanks to that, I was able to accept they weren't human, but... Huh? Then that means... Toriko's eyes went from the thugs to the 3 boys who were collapsed nearby. I nodded. They're not either. Seriously? I was this close to going and checking if they were breathing. Hold on. That's something I should have done way sooner. What am I doing? Telling herself she needed to get it together, Toriko slapped her own cheeks. It's true that Toriko probably would have confirmed the enemy was defeated and then immediately checked on the condition of the wounded. Suddenly, there was a clunking sound from the beach. Looking in that direction, there was something lying on the shore where there had been nothing before. It was the size of a dump truck, roundish and white, and looked like it had to be a big hunk of meat. A rotten smell came drifting on the sea breeze and caught my nose. The blue sea, the white sand, and the massive hunk of unidentified meat. I went into a bit of a daze, unable to process how out of place it was, and I started to feel like the blue of the sky was gradually getting deeper. It wasn't my imagination. It really was getting deeper. The blueness of the blue was too strong, to the point that it was nearly black. Finally, I realized it. That sky was never the real sky. Like with the windmill woman, from the time we first got here, what was above us was that blue light that lay beyond the other world. Had we been taking a leisurely vacation under it? The dark blue covered the heavens, and the beach sank into night. What will you do? I wonder what you should do. Turning towards the groaning voice, one of the 3 fallen boys had stood up at some point. With the dark sea at his back, he looked like no more than a dark silhouette. That was the same even looking with my right eye. In the center of his face, just his teeth were shining. Did you know? The midnight sea off the coast glows brightly, the shadow said calmly. The distinctive way he spoke jogged my memory. Of all the net lore stories that were set by the seaside, it was the one that creeped me out the worst, Atsuma Coast. That was right. That one was set in Kobe, not Okinawa, and it was about 3 middle schoolers attacked by a group of bikers. That line was spoken by the one that survived. Welcome in, Fed. Thank you for the check-in. Do you think they'll take note of that? I know this sounds a bit nasty, but... Speaking nonsense, the shadow began to wave his arms around. Sorowell? What is this? Toriko's voice was frightened, and I was no different. I desperately tried to remember what happened next in the story. You wouldn't know what I'm talking about, but when night comes, Tatsuki Aruma suyus to the shore too. And what will you do with Sororo Kamakoshi? Satsuki? Toriko mumbled to herself. The shadow had spoken our names. When I realized what that meant, I shuddered. Toriko, do you remember? When you were being taken by the windmill woman, you said something. Huh? There's something beyond the blue light that's trying to contact us by causing fear in humans and by driving them mad. You said that, Toriko. Do you remember? Toriko looked back at me without a word, completely expressionless. Seconds later, beneath the palm of my hand, I felt the goosebumps rise on Toriko's skin. Toriko gasped. Her wide eyes told me she remembered the things she'd blurted out. Yeah. Keep your wits about you. This is bad news. It's them, trying to drive us nuts. Their sights are clearly set on us. They recognize us individually. I already feel like I'm going crazy just from remembering it, okay? Sorry, I'm not confident I can handle this alone. It's fine, though. Sheesh. The motions of the shadow on the pier grew more and more violent. Shaking his head around like his neck was broken, the shadow screamed. With the phosphorant stones and squid and flying fish, the midnight sea really shines. It's amazing. It's like the starry sky. Do you understand? We were so afraid, we started clinging to one another at some point. Out of nowhere, there was a voice that sounded like it was reading sutras. Onmyoji. There was a loud clattering and ringing from the direction of the beach house. The stairs! The moment Toriko said that, I realized the same thing. Those stairs, where the used dining trays were piled and the used bowls were scattered around, there was something coming down them. Just when I thought the sound of things breaking had stopped, a small humanoid form emerged from the beach house. Jomishin. Even the thing shouting with that ridiculously loud voice was a naked child. Even in the pitch darkness, I could tell it was naked for some reason. He was running towards us with incredible vigor, both arms and both legs swinging. Toriko and I both let out a scream, unable to restrain ourselves any longer. It was scary. Unbelievably scary. I felt like I was going crazy. It may be the only reason I maintained a tenuous grasp on my sanity was because what was happening in front of my eyes followed a depiction of events in a piece of net lore I had read before. Desperately suppressing the urge to close my eyes and cower where I was, I looked at the child whose body was all green, using my right eye. There was what looked like a dried-up black cord wrapped in cotton and floating in the air. When I shot at it with the M4, the white cotton went flying in the darkness. Toriko screamed and pulled on the trigger of the Makarov. The black mass, which looked like a dried-up cloud ear fungus, was blown away by the bullet. At the same time, in my left field of vision, I saw the green child thin out, flatten, and vanish. The slide on the Makarov in Toriko's hand slid back, all of its bullets spent. I hadn't been keeping count, but my N4 had to be running low on ammo too. Toriko, let's run away. Where? I desperately squinted over the edge of the pier. I was looking for that silver shine. I didn't care where it led now, if I could just find a gate to the surface world. My eyes stopped on an unexpected place. In the middle of the beach, beneath the beach parasol we'd just been lounging around under, I could see just the slightest silver radiance. Why there? It's too convenient. Is this a trap? No, it's not. That's the hat. Hashaku-sama's hat in our luggage. Yo, Gladiator, thank you for the resub. 25 months, that's wild. Thank you so much. Thank you. Also, thank you for the check-in, Dino. My eyes stopped on an unexpected place. In the middle of the beach, beneath the beach parasol we'd just been lounging around under, I could see just the slightest silver radiance. Why there? It's too convenient. Is this a trap? No, it's not. That's the hat. Hashaku-sama's hat in our luggage. Run to the parasol. When I spoke, Toriko gave me a big nod. Thank you for the follow. Is it Nahoe? Oh, sorry. Nahoe Lysis? Am I pronouncing that even remotely correctly? Please let me know. The two of us held hands and took off running. I didn't want to get any closer to the beach house, but we ran back along the pier and descended the stairs to the beach. I turned back to take a glance and regretted it just as much as you might expect. There were a whole lot of little green children looking our way out of the small gap in the beach house. The walls of the building were packed with black string wrapped in cotton, and when I looked at them with my left eye, the one with normal vision, it looked like they were green-bodied children watching us from the places where no person should have been able to stand. This was nothing any sane person should be looking at. Don't look at the beach house, no matter what. I already saw, Toriko shouted, her face twitching. As we ran towards the beach parasol, our feet getting stuck in the sand, a shadow standing up on the pier looked down on us. Had the fallen ones risen up again? Their number had returned to 7. Hi, Xiao. How's it going? Welcome in. The shadows cried out, like babies, like crows. On the other side of the beach, past the other pier, the lighthouse was shining. The slowly revolving cone of light from the tower shone across the beach, looking at the dense forest behind the beach house. Finally, we reached the parasol. Toriko snatched up the AK she had left on the deck chair and removed the magazine before irritatedly shouting, "Ah, jeez, I screwed up!" She had fully discharged the AK during target practice. We had more bullets, but no spare magazines. It didn't look like there was time to be putting bullets into one either. I handed her my own M4. Use it! I shouldn't have fired all my shots yet. What about you? I'll get the hat out of our luggage, so you keep watch while I do it. Okay, listen, look towards the sea first. I turned back and realized hunks of meat were washing up from out in the open sea, one after another. There were already some that had been beached here and there, and they were peeling under their own weight. They were all covered in some sort of long hair, and there were exposed bones sticking out of the torn meat. Globsters. That's what the unidentified chunks of meat that washed up on the shore were called. They could also be called whale blubber or the remains of unknown creatures, and several real instances of them had been documented, so this was not really a ghost story. It was more in the realm of marine biology or cryptozoology. When the light from the lighthouse slid along the beach, the globsters illuminated it began to bubble and writhe. What had looked to be no more than hunks of dead flesh trembled. Then they sprouted eye stalks like those of a crab, legs like those of a caterpillar, and a variety of other unidentifiable organs. Isn't that just too gross? They seemed to take exception to my vague mumbling, and the many eyes that had issued forth from the surface of the meat turned towards me. I shuddered and looked away. There was no place on this beach that was safe now. I dug my hand into our bags and fished around, grabbing the Ziploc bag that the hat was in and pulling it out. I opened the bag, extracted the hat, and unfolded it. The silver halo around this foreign object Hishaku-sama left us was the only tool available to us now. What should we do? Put it on and run? I shook my head in response to Toriko's question. I don't know if we can use it to escape into the surface world or not. Besides, that'd take too long. Then... My mind raced. I'd hypothesized the silver light that I saw on objects from the other world and glitches represented a point where the two worlds touched. That first time we'd visited Kisaragi Station, we'd caught this light to return to the surface world. Then, could this hat be the same? I turned the hat inside out and laid it on the floor. If we use it right, I think we can make this hat into a gate. Try grabbing just the outer edge of the brim. Like this? Toriko grabbed the halo with clumsy fingers. I placed my own hand atop her quivering left hand. Move your hand like I do, I said, then carefully guided Toriko's fingers, counterclockwise, like a vortex. This is it? It's okay? It's fine. Focus on your fingers. Don't move your hand away from mine. With my eye, I could see her translucent fingers unraveling the light. Along with that light, the structure of the hat itself came apart in a spiral shape. It was like peeling an apple. Nearby, the globsters were growing legs and staggering up to their feet. Up above our heads, creatures with voices like crows formed a flock, and they screamed as they circled overhead. The light from the lighthouse was closing in over the sand. If that light ever shone on us, I couldn't help but imagine terrible things would happen to us. Sorowo, the hat! It seemed even with Toriko's eyes, she could see the hat was coming apart into a bizarre shape. The finished vortex had no bottom. Looking into it, my eyes were sucked towards the center. The space around it was all drawn in. I felt my body tilting, then the two of us fell. There was a sudden impact against my back, making me groan. I hurriedly got up and darted around. It was the beach, but not the same one as before. The sky was the reddish purple of just after the sun set. The chirping of insects flooded my ears all at once. This was the surface. Next to me, blinking as she lay on top of the sand, was Toriko. Then things started falling around us with a thud. The parasol and deck chairs, the cooler box, and our luggage and guns. Snapping to my senses, I searched for Hishaku-sama's hat. Where is it? I turned around in a frenzy and was shocked. There was a big spiral-shaped hole in midair, and I could see the beach in the other world through it. The shore was illuminated by the sinister light of the lighthouse, and black shadows stood amidst the ominous hunks of meat. As I stood there frozen, the gate in midair gradually shrank and then vanished without a trace. We're saved, said Toriko, who was lying on her side, out of breath. It seemed she hadn't seen what was on the other side of the gate. It looks like we made it out. Somehow, I responded. Toriko covered her face with her hands and let out a long sigh. Oh, I thought we were totally screwed this time, Toriko groaned in mental and physical exhaustion. Where is this? Dunno. Somewhere in Okinawa, I guess, I answered offhandedly. It was entirely possible it wasn't, though. I had the faint sense it was quieter than Okinawa here, and the air was clearer, too. It might not be one of the main islands, but a remote one. If I took my smartphone out of our luggage and checked a map app, I could find it in no time, but I didn't feel like it. The moon was in the sky. In the distance, I could hear the cheering of people watching fireworks and music playing from a loudspeaker. Far from the shore, fireworks of all colors flickered in the sky. It was the first time I'd ever been so happy to see strangers out, enjoying themselves on a summer night. Looking down at a dazed Toriko, my eyes moved to the cooler lying beside her. Hey, you want to drink what's left of the booze? Sure. I'm in. I don't think I can do anything but drink in this mood. I was pretty sure we'd already drunk a lot, but I was feeling totally sober. Opening the cooler, I pulled out the last can of Orion beer. I pulled the tab to open it and reflexively drank the fizz that came out. I followed up by knocking it back for a sip, then passing it to Toriko. Toriko sat up, tilted the can, and drank it with a satisfied groan. One sip, then 2 sips, then 3. Beer tastes good when you're alive to drink it. You said it. We sat on the sand, sharing a single can of beer and looking up to the moon of the southern lands. Ashaku-sama's hat is gone. Ashaku-sama's hat is gone. I was going to make Kozakura buy it off me, too. Oh, well, that's too bad, huh? But it did get us back here. Well, sure, but what do I do now? I'm out of money. I splurged and bought a swimsuit, and there's the cost of a hotel and the flight back. As I clutched my head, Toriko comfortingly clapped me on the shoulder. I'm telling you, you'll be fine. It's all gonna work out somehow. You say somehow, but how exactly? You can head back into the other world and pick something up again, can't you? After what we just went through, how can you say that? I said, giving voice to my exasperation, despite not meaning to. But, well, I guess Toriko will be going, huh? And no matter what kind of frightening situation I go through, I probably will too. I listened to the gentle waves wash up against the sandy beach. When I handed Toriko the now much lighter can, a small silver glimmer caught my eye. Turning around, there was something under the tilted umbrella. I picked it up, and it turned out to be a little spiral shell, maybe 5 centimeters across, and transparent like glass. I peered through it, and could see a long, long spiral that felt like you could fall down forever. It was dizzying, and I hurriedly averted my eyes. Whoa, pretty! Toriko looked at my hands. Be careful, okay? This looks like an object from the other world. Really? Well, let's get Kozakura to buy it then. Huh? Sure. See? It worked out somehow. I gave Toriko the side eye as she emptied the can with a self-satisfied look on her face. She's just saying whatever, I thought, but I was still struggling with the question of whether or not to tell Toriko what I had just seen on the other side of the gate. Just before the hole that connected this side and the other side closed, on the beach in the other world, in the sea where that massive stone fortress loomed, darker than the sky behind it, green lights began to appear. The lights grew explosively in number, and soon it was as bright as the starry sky. That sky of green stars outlined the figure of someone on the beach. It was a tall, long-haired silhouette that I recognized. Satsuki Aruma. Standing alone on the beach was the woman who had vanished into the other world, the one Toriko was seeking. And that is file 6. Sure thing, Spike Kirby. Of course, of course. Go, go. Go, 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 go. Go, go, go. Go. Go, 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 go. Go. Welcome back, Blazer. Go. Got to S+ with you all? Fantastic. Go. Go, go. Go, 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 go. 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 Go, go. Go. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. Go. Go, go. Go, go. Alright. So, in between files. So, Blazer, since you just got back, file 6 we just finished. Basically, Sorowo and Toriko wound up in Okinawa after coming back across from the other side. And they decided to go to the beach while they were there, because they may as well, because they, you know, you got the end. Ah, okay, never mind. That's good. Controller sounds, absolutely. Okay, do you want... Also, hello, Lewis, hello. Would you rather have... You know what, no, I'll do both. Why not? Hang on. Give me a second here. Let me get this. Okay. this thing doesn't actually turn on while I'm doing this. Love that you see me a bit before you're going to sleep. Take care. Absolutely. Have a lovely night, then. Sleep well. Sleep well. Good night. Okay, real quick before I get to the next file here, I'm going to go ahead here and do a little bit of sounds from my hitbox. Seeker's continuing to train at Grand Blue ASMR, kinda. Zinko, hello, hello. How's it going? You forgot to check in. You're fine, no worries. Is it only your third ever stream? Yeah, of course. Okie dokie. So we're gonna go ahead and continue on to file number 6. Entertaining to my stream while saying Gao, or entering my stream while I was saying Gao already made your day. I'm glad to hear it. Okay, so onwards to file 7. Attack of the Ninja Cats. If the last one was a little spooky for you guys, this one's a little bit more of a comic relief kind of one. Kind of. Chapter 1. You're Kamakoshi-senpai, right? Someone suddenly said to me as I was slurping cold soba noodles in the school cafeteria. I looked up in surprise, and there was a woman I didn't know looking down at me from across the table. She looked sophisticated and wore a mini-length t-shirt dress with a men's coat over the top. She had a boyish short haircut, and her eyes were filled with a strong sense of purpose. I panicked for a moment. Who was she? I didn't remember her. If she was calling me senpai, that presumably made her my kohai, but I had no interaction with any of the first-year students, or even my fellow second years either. Oh, sorry. Not that I had anything to do with the third years, fourth years, or even my fellow second years either. There was nothing more unpleasant than being directly addressed by someone whose name and face you couldn't remember. As I froze up and started dripping sweat, she asked me once more, very clearly, "You're not Sorabo Kamakoshi in second year of the general education program? Did I get it wrong?" "Uh-huh. Oh, yes, I am. Why?" I answered in confusion. She nodded, looking relieved, then introduced herself. "Sorry, this is coming out of nowhere. I'm Akari Sato, from first year. I wanted your advice about something. Is now a good time?" Advice? I had no clue what she was talking about. What do you mean? We never met, right? Why ask me?" "Because I think this one's in your wheelhouse." The girl sat herself down in the chair across from me without bothering to ask first. I never said this was a good time. I was in the middle of eating, too. Exams for the previous term had ended, and the school was pretty sparsely populated at the moment. I came to the school cafeteria, which was open during summer break, in order to save money on food and air conditioning, only to be accosted by a stranger. "My wheelhouse? What do you mean?" I asked, for lack of a better option, as I continued with my soba. The fact that the girl across from me wasn't eating anything only made this feel more uncomfortable. Order something, at least. Having no idea how I felt, Akari Sato leaned in and lowered her voice to a whisper. You can sense spirits, right, Senpai? Huh? I cried out despite myself. I've heard rumors. They say your research is on scary stories. Who told you that? We don't choose research topics or anything like that in second year. Still, it was true I had talked to someone about that. I'd mentioned my interest in true ghost stories and that I liked abandoned ruins. When I first entered university, I was invited out for drinks a number of times and my tongue slipped. I was still all excited back then. I'd even had hopes I'd find friends I could get along with. It didn't really work out though, which is why I was still alone. What are they saying about me while I'm not around? Despite my frown, Akari Sato kept talking. I was originally hoping to have one of your friends introduce me to you, but I couldn't find anyone. It felt a bit rude, but I decided to look for you myself, and... how did you know who I was? Oh, yeah, it was that eye. I had heard you'd been known to put a blue color contact in just one eye occasionally. I messed up, I thought with a sigh. My right eye had turned blue after making contact with the kunekune. It stood out really badly, so I hid it with a black color contact, but I had come to school without it a number of times when I was feeling sleepy or just plain forgetful. That had been especially common during exam season, when I was so busy I ended up coming to school and letting people see my naked eye again and again, and it started to feel like too much of a bother to hide it. So here I was again today, my eye uncovered. I just wore jeans and whatever t-shirt came to mind, but this stupidly brilliant blue eye was making me stand out in a bad way. It was a little wonder everyone thought I was putting in a contact to make it look like I had heterochromia. Yeah, of course no one normal was going to approach me like this. So, about what I wanted your advice on... Hold on. I cut her off as she tried to keep going. I'm sorry, but you're misunderstood. I can't sense spirits. Uh-huh? Akari Sato's face froze in surprise. If she was striking up a conversation with me, a total stranger who didn't look all that normal, that meant this girl was either 1, not normal herself, 2, in a really bad spot, or 3, up to no good somehow. Any one of those was going to be a headache for me, and I didn't want to get caught up in whatever it was. You've got it wrong, so try someone else. Please, everyone's been saying you can help me for sure. Who's everyone? They're just saying whatever. Why don't you go to a temple? Get an exorcism done or something. I did go, but it did nothing. Then maybe you're imagining it. Why not go to the hospital? At first, I thought I had lost my mind too, but after being attacked so many times, there are limits to how far I can believe it's just an illusion. Attacked? What? Shouldn't you be going to the police first? I don't think the police can handle this. It was true that I enjoyed digging through true ghost stories and net lore, but if someone wanted my advice on them, that was a different matter. I wasn't a medium or anything like that. Slurping up the last of my soba noodles, I set my chopsticks down and reluctantly asked her, "What is it that's bothering you?" Well... This time it was her turn to hesitate. I'm pretty sure you're going to laugh at me for saying this, but... What's with that attitude after bringing this up on your own? Spit it out already. As I irritably sipped my barley tea, which had been watered down by the ice in it, Akari Sato hesitantly spoke. Lately, I've been targeted by ninja cats, you see. I nearly spewed my tea. Ninja cats? Yes, Akari Sato nodded, a serious look on her face. The 3 possibilities I had considered popped up in my head once more. She was 1, not normal herself, 2, in a really bad spot, or 3, up to no good. The answer is 1. Okay, we're done here. Only we weren't... Because I had read about this before. Indeed, there was a net lore story that featured ninja cats. Ninja cats? You can't mean... You know about them, Senpai? As I mumbled to myself, Akari Sato pressed for more. Well, yeah, but... I turned a suspicious eye on her. You're sure you're not screwing with me here? It's a famous copy pasta, you know? Ninja cats, I mean. Hear me out for a moment. There's been something weird going on around me since last week. Let me say this up front. I'm not delusional or schizophrenic or sick in any other way. Please don't laugh. This is serious. Lately, I've been targeted by ninja cats. This post became a widespread internet meme. The shift from the over-serious lead-in was so intense, I even laughed the first time I read it. That's why I consider the possibility, number 3, maybe nasty people had decided to make fun of me by bringing up this story. They could be around here somewhere, snickering to themselves as they watched my reaction. I turned around, scanning the largely deserted cafeteria. There was one student eating leeks and liver while playing with her smartphone, one person in a white coat who looked like a grad student asleep at a table with their head resting on their arms, and one old lady collecting abandoned trays. None of them showed any interest in us. It's famous? Ketchup! Speaking of famous. Welcome in, Ketchup. Welcome in. Hello, hello. How was your stream? How was your ASMR stream? Thank you so much, A-List Fiver, for the follow. I appreciate it. Welcome in, everybody. Hello, hello. Ketchup, how was your stream? I hope it went well. Hello, everybody who came in with Ketchup's raid. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Sucrose Yurishigeki Kumajo in training. I am a variety streamer and magical girl, bear VTuber. And I mostly focus on retro style content when I am not doing ASMR stuff. They broke. Oh no. Stream went well. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, I focus mostly on retro style content. On Sunday nights, though, we do cozier stuff here, like ASMR streams and cozy gaming stuff. Tonight, I am reading from a light novel called Otherside Picnic. We are reading file number 7, which is called Attack of the Ninja Cats. For those who aren't familiar with what Otherside Picnic is, it is a light novel about 2 college-age girls who discover, like, gates to an alternate world, where, like, it seems like everything's kind of, like, abandoned, kind of post-apocalyptic, and they start hunting, for lack of a better way to put it, creepypasta monsters over there, like net lore creatures, to, like, bring their remains back to sell in the surface world. There's more to it than that, but that is the gist of the story. It's also a Yuri light novel, although the relationship stuff is very much kind of a slow burn. But one of the 2 girls right now in this particular chapter, or not chapter, file, story, just got approached by one of her classmates who is asking her for help because she's been targeted by ninja cats, and heard that this character was good with spirits, and Sorrow is kind of trying to clear up the misconception right now. But yes, Ketchup, if you need to raid and run, same thing for your raiders. I completely understand. Please take care of yourselves post-stream. Guys, please go check out Ketchup the Bear if you haven't already. Most of you guys here know him very well. He's here frequently, but he's super cute, super good. Good ASMR artist of his own right. Also, Ketchup, as usual, if you want me to do a trigger for you, thank you, Ketchup. If you want me to, if you have a trigger you'd like me to do, just let me know. For everybody else, we are doing ASMR triggers. I do have the 3DO mic plugged in here. But for the most part, I am holding off on them until I'm between chapters. Can you have some smooches? Of course, Ketchup, of course. Give me just 1 second. Taking a quick drink. There we go. Okay. Smooches for Ketchup the Bear. There you go, catch up. Okay, I'm getting back to the story. I will catch up on I will catch up on chat and any redeems when I get to the next chapter. Of course, catch up, of course. When she gave me a blank look, I suddenly lost my confidence. Even if it was common sense to an internet denizen like me, it might not be famous or anything close to it to a person who wasn't as immersed in the net. Well, not that I'd know, I mumbled, and Akari Seto started talking fast. I'm not confident they're ninjas, really. They just kind of look like that way. They look like plain, ordinary cats until they get up on their hind legs and chase after me. Right. It's not just one either, you know. I was running away in fear, so it didn't get a proper look, but there were several. They make a racket outside my house at night and rattle out the windows. What's with this story? Since it started, I feel like I'm being tailed wherever I go. I figured this might be something spirit-related, so I tried going to a temple for advice, but they said this was a bit beyond them. The exorcism was no use. Well, they're cats. That being the case, I thought it might be best to get help from an expert. The rumor said if I went to Kamakoshi-senpai, she'd sort me out. Seriously, where did that rumor come from? I gazed up to the ceiling with a sigh. I never thought someone would come to me with a story like this. I thought that I had been avoiding all of the hassle of interacting with people, but these rumors got exaggerated all on their own, and came to me in an even more bothersome form. What was I even supposed to do about this? Senpai, what should I do? I don't know. I accidentally said exactly what I was thinking. I mean, I told you already, didn't I? I don't have the ability to sense spirits, and I'm not an expert or anything of the sort. With that said, I pushed my chair back and stood up. Sorry, but I can't help you. It's a bother to even have to hear about it. I see. When she said that in a strong tone, Akari Seto hung her head in disappointment. She looked like she was seriously troubled, so I hesitated. No, but it was clearly impossible for me to take this seriously. I mean, ninja cats? Of all things? From what I'd heard, there was something of a drug epidemic in universities these days. This girl looked pure enough, but for all I knew, she could just be high on something. Scary stuff. I was getting out of here before she got violent or tried to push her drugs on me. Well, that's how it is. So... I gently lifted my tray, trying not to agitate her, and tried to go return it, but Akari Seto stood up forcefully, startling me and making my body tense up. Sorry, yeah, absolutely, catch up. Have a wonderful night. Sleep well. I gently lifted my tray, trying not to agitate her, and tried to go return it, but Akari Seto stood up forcefully, startling me and making my body tense up. Ugh! Akari Seto walked around the table with firm steps and stood in front of me, as I, having both my hands occupied by the tray, was unable to move. What is it? Here. It's my phone number. If you change your mind and you feel like helping me, call me at any time. As she said that, she put a pink tag with a phone number hastily written on it on the tray I was holding. Without waiting for my response, Akari Seto bowed her head slightly, then turned around and walked off without looking back. I watched her go in bewilderment, but she came up to a sudden stop right before leaving the cafeteria. She seemed to be staring at something outside. Eventually, she took a deep breath and headed outside with resolve. What in tarnation? I said with a fake Kansai accent. But no, seriously, what in tarnation was that all about? It was exhausting. I brought the tray back to the return window and thought for a while. Well, it did seem like she was in enough trouble to come to me for advice. Guess I can at least hold on to her phone number. I peeled the pink tag off the tray and played with it in my fingers as I headed for the exit. I'm such a nice person. I've got a heart. I've got so much heart. As I left the cafeteria, singing my own praises, I came to a stop despite myself. The summer sun beat down on the plaza in front of the cafeteria. Under the eaves and the bushes, anywhere there was shade, there were cats lying about. It was a familiar sight. People who came out of the cafeteria or the school store would feed them, so this place had become a hangout for the cats living at the university. Those cats were all staring at me. After the conversation we just had, it flustered me a little. What in tarnation? I whispered to myself, then walked out onto the plaza. I felt eyes on me from all directions. They had totally ignored me when I came. I didn't think it was scary, but it sure was unsettling. I cut straight across the plaza and turned back when I was done. They were all still looking at me. Weird. I shook my head and left the plaza behind in a hurry. The tag in my hand was damp with sweat. What in tarnation indeed, yeah? Actually, I'm wondering if maybe I should give Akari an accent. That might help differentiate her, because otherwise she's not that different from how I'm inflecting my voice for Toriko. In any case, let's see. You don't know why, but what that phrase feels familiar. What in tarnation? Pizza cats are more dangerous than ninja cats? It's true. Well, I mean, I guess we'll see. Chapter 2. And that's what happened to me yesterday. I finished telling the story in Kozakura's dimly lit room. Toriko was beside me, cackling with laughter. Ninja cats? Toriko collapsed on the arm of the sofa, gasping for breath through her laughter. Do you have to laugh so hard? Hey, they sound cute. I don't know what had tickled her funny bone, but this was apparently a laugh riot for her, the weirdo. Ninja cats, That must be some hard stuff she's doing. Don't get into drugs, even if she offers them to you, Sorowo-chan. You're already messed up enough as it is. I won't, and I'm not. Kozakura was as rude as ever. Today she was drinking a ridiculously oversized glass of cola through a straw. Seems that she drank it chilled in the summer, at least. Kinda harsh when we brought you all those souvenirs in Okinawa, don't you think? How long do you plan to keep bringing up something that happened more than half a month ago? Kozakura said while chomping on the ice that was in her glass. I'll gladly take your gifts, but I still haven't forgotten the way you tormented me with pictures of tasty food I couldn't have. How long do you plan on to keep bringing up something that happened more than a month ago? I'm not one to forget grudges, okay? It had been a while since we got together like this. It wasn't just Kozakura. I hadn't seen Toriko for a while since coming back from Okinawa either. I'd been too busy with last term's exams to do anything else. I'd taken a number of days off just before the exam period, which honestly made it tough. Though I'm sure someone with friends would have been able to borrow lecture notes from the lectures they missed, ultimately I had to give up on a number of credits. After enjoying the beach resort Toriko and I had all to ourselves in the other world, we'd escaped from nearly going insane, but ended up on Ishigaki Island, 400 kilometers from the main island in Okinawa. We could have flown back to Tokyo the next day, but after the terror we experienced on that beach, Toriko and I were both mentally ground down. We needed rest. Real rest. That being the case, Toriko and I booked a nearby resort hotel, and we stayed for 3 whole days. A real resort hotel. Not anything like that New York-style pension, or whatever it was supposed to be. Sure, it was costly, but it was a necessary expense. We could just earn that money back in the other world. Yeah, this was an investment in our ability to do just that, is what we told each other. We stayed in a super expensive room at same day arrival pricing, swam in the pool, ordered cocktails by the poolside, and went beachcombing for bits of coral. Then we took a taxi into town at night to eat ishigaki beef and locally caught fish, and then sent Kozakura pictures of all the tasty food and alcohol. Thanks to that, we came back to Tokyo refreshed, so you can say it was a necessary use of time. Credit cards sure are convenient, aren't they? Yo, Plate Memorial, welcome in, welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid. How was your stream? Let me see here. What were you playing? Oh, you were doing a just chatting stream. Awesome, awesome. How was your stream? How did it go? Welcome in. Hello, everybody who came in from Plate Memo's raid. If you are not familiar with me, my name is Sucrose Yurishigaki, Kumajo in training. I am a variety streamer and magical girl bear VTuber, and I mostly focus on retro style content when I'm not doing ASMR, at least. On Sunday nights, though, we do cozier content here, whether that's cozy gaming streams or full-on ASMR streams. And tonight, we are reading from a light novel called Otherside Picnic. The particular story in it right now, file number 7, is called Attack of the Ninja Cats. It was great. You were playing random horror games. Fantastic. I'm glad to hear it went well. But yeah, to give like a very, very brief explanation of this series, it's about 2 college-age girls who find gates into an alternate world, basically, and start hunting monsters on the other side. Stopping by to say goodnight. Have a great night, Rex. Thank you so much. So there is also a manga and anime adaptation of this series, so it's possible you may have heard of it before. Thank you for the hydrate. Appreciated. Memorio, if you have a particular ASMR trigger you like, and you want to put a request in, you are more than welcome to be here. I'm sorry. I got my things mixed up. Oh my gosh. Anyways, what was I saying? Yes. If you have a particular ASMR redeem you'd like to request, I'd be more than happy to do that for you. I am still taking ASMR redeem requests. It is a full ASMR stream. I just am getting to those in between chapters. So let me see here. It would be triggers here. Is my list. Singles is great too. Yes. Let me see here. Think you caught up with the manga? Oh, nice. That's awesome. Glad to hear it. Yeah, like I said, there is a manga adaptation and an anime adaptation. It only had 1 season. But yeah, if you enjoy the story here and you want to see more of it, like I said, manga and anime. The manga adaptation is pretty good, and it's covering a lot of the story. The anime only got 1 season, so it doesn't go for that much longer from where we're at, actually, before it stops. But that's okay. So... but yes, if you and your raiders need to raid and run, I completely understand. Please take care of yourselves post-stream. But if you do want to hang out and listen to the story, you're more than welcome to be here, and I'm super happy to have you. Thank you again so much for the raid. I appreciate it very, very much. Why does every Yuri anime only have 1 season? That's a mood. That is a mood. The manga seems like it's actually going to adapt the full thing, though. So there's that, at least. Of course. No problem whatsoever. Okay, where was I at here? We could just earn that money back in the other world. Yeah, this was our investment in our ability to do just that, is what we told each other. We stayed in a super expensive room at the same day arrival pricing, swam in the pool, ordered cocktails by the poolside, and went beachcombing for bits of coral. Then we took a taxi into town at night to eat Ishigaki beef and locally caught fish, then send Kazakura pictures of all the tasty food and alcohol. Thanks to that, we came back to Tokyo refreshed, so you could say it was a necessary use of time. Credit cards sure are convenient, huh? However, when we saw Kazakura, she was all grumpy. What's wrong with you people? I was worried, and now you come back all nicely tanned? I'm gonna kill you, she snapped. But we managed to mollify her with a massive pile of souvenirs. Some of them were still piled in the low table in Kozakura's room. You could have helped the girl out. I want to see the ninja cats too. Toriko, having recovered from her laughing fit, said irresponsibly. No way. I'm not some kind of medium, I responded with a scowl. You didn't think the other world could be involved? What? I doubt it. These are ninja cats, right? They're not scary. Everything we ran into before now was scary. Huh? I detected something slightly off about what I had said. What could it be? I don't think I said anything particularly wrong. It sure was crazy last time, huh? I thought I was going to lose it for real, Toriko said, and I shuddered. When I remembered how I felt like I was going to lose my cool, too. What was that field of flowers? Was that what the field of flowers Kozakura had experienced when I was dealing with the windmill woman was like? It was a saturation attack of fear, with scary things happening one after another. If Toriko and I had succumbed, I wonder what would have happened to us by now. Those hunks of meat that washed up on the beach, the black shadows that called our names, the screaming green children running towards us, it all rushed into my mind and... Suruo? Are you okay? Sorry, I blanked out there. What were we talking about again? About the ninja cats being connected to the other world. Oh. I took one of the dried tomatoes flavored with salt from Ishigaki Island that was in the pile of souvenirs off the table and threw it into my mouth. The salt and sweetness gradually brought me back to my senses. This state, where recollection of past fear triggered a lapse in consciousness, was something we both experienced a number of times on Ishigaki Island. We already knew how to deal with it, we just had to focus on what we were feeling right now. The reason we'd cut off our vacation and come home was that we both more or less stopped showing symptoms. It looked like I wasn't fully recovered just yet, but I could handle this much. Toriko didn't rush me. She waited. I chewed on the tomato as I brought my mind back to the original conversation. Listen, if the other world is tied up in this, that makes me even less eager to get involved. I have no guns, remember? That's right. I was walking around unarmed recently. On the return trip from Ishigaki Island to Tokyo, we ran into the issue of what to do with our guns. No matter how small the parts we broke them into were, there was a chance they would be x-rayed at the airport and discovered because of their shape. That was why, ultimately, we elected to send them by ship. 2 assault rifles, 2 Makarovs, and the associated bullets. Toriko disassembled them, split them into 4 packages, and sent them on their way. We floated the idea of taking the leisurely route home by ferry, but I couldn't justify taking any more time away from school, so we took a plane instead. The guns would arrive in Tokyo in 4 to 5 days. Just in case something went wrong, we used a throwaway address and had them delivered to a delivery pickup locker in Hamamatsucho Station. Have you already picked them up, Toriko? Long since. I've brought the Makarov for now. Thanks. Toriko passed me the Makarov inside a paper bag from Dean and DeLuca. Just holding the grip was enough to make me feel a sense of ease. I'd totally gotten used to this weight and shape. While I was loading the magazine with 9mm bullets, Kozakura decided to voice her exasperation. When I'd heard you were sending the guns separately, I was beside myself with worry, thinking, what if they use my house for the delivery? Clearly we weren't going to do that, okay? I don't know. You did send the souvenirs here, didn't you? I know what's okay and not okay to send, alright? As I looked up with a frown, I noticed there was an animal As I looked up with a frown, I noticed there was an animal ornament, one just about the size that would fit on the palm of your hand, sitting on top of Kozakura's desk. It hadn't been there last time we came. It looked like it was porcelain. Oh, where did that come from? It's cute, I exclaimed despite myself, and Kozakura looked at me with pride in her eyes. It's a tanuki. Remember what you were saying last time? How those 3 old women might really have been tanuki? I did indeed remember saying something like that. I'd said it, thinking it might help calm Kozakura's nerves after beings from the other world showed up on her doorstep. It was just a consolation, though. At first, I thought it was stupid, but realizing that thinking it was the work of Tanuki helped lessen the fear. I found a cute one at the nearby craft market, so I bought it. You're giving the unknown fear a name so you can control it, right? Yeah, exactly. Thanks to this Tanuki, I can sleep again. She put the ornament on top of her hand, gazing at it lovingly. Come to think of it, the last time we came, she had all the lights on, but today things were back to how they originally were. The entrance and hall were dark. If my consolation had managed to grant her some peace of mind, I was glad. The animal with black spots around its eyes looked at me from on top of Kozakura's hand, seemingly troubled. It was cute. Its short, fat, striped tail was, too... Huh? Kozakura, that's not a tanuki. Huh? It's a raccoon. See the stripes on the tail? What are you Kozakura blinked, then looked down at the ornament. What are you talking about? Tanuki have stripes on their tails too. They do not. That there is a raccoon. Raccoons dig through the trash, don't they? They're vermin. Toriko's merciless comment made Kozakura's eyes go wide in anger. Shut up. This is a tanuki. No matter what anyone says, it's a tanuki. Huh? But what is it with your jabbering? Do you want me to tear me and Ponpoko apart that badly? No, Ah, crap. I shouldn't have said anything. I was regretting it when the doorbell rang. Kozakura, who'd risen from her chair with a look of indignation, shuddered and came to a stop. Ding dong. The bell echoed through the house again. Kozakura delicately returned her tanuki to the top of the desk, then clicked the mouse. One of her monitors showed outside the front door. There was a man wearing a polo shirt and a cap standing there. Who is it? Delivery. It's a large package. Where do you want it put down? The man asked in a loud voice, wiping the sweat from his face with a towel. Seemed to be a delivery man. He didn't look suspicious. Large package? Kozakura asked dubiously, casting a look of suspicion towards me and Toriko. We both shook our heads. We had no idea what it was. Kozakura got out of her chair and headed for the front door. It was taking a while for her to come back. Toriko and I were discussing what it could be when a voice shouted from the entranceway. Come here a minute. Both of you. We looked at one another, both noticing the voice's suppressed anger. We had a bad feeling about this, but we walked down the dark hallway to the entrance. When we got outside, Kozakura was glaring at us from under the eaves. Would you care to explain what that is? I looked in the direction she was pointing, and the middle of her weedy lawn was occupied by a machine that was painted red and white. It was about 1.8 meters tall and shaped like a gate. The bottom of each leg had a caterpillar treads, so this was apparently a vehicle. The rear of the vehicle had 2 seats split between the right and the left. Well, what is this thing? The receipt Kozakura thrust toward me had her address written on it. It was unmistakably my writing. The product name was Bunmai Agricultural Machines, Tobacco Control Work Vehicle AP-1. Oh. Suddenly it came back to me. It was our second day on Ishigaki Island, and Toriko was already drunk by early evening. We went into town, and we bought this work vehicle we'd found in an agricultural machinery and equipment store on impulse. The AP-1 was originally designed to drive with the ridge of a field in the middle of what looked like the gate structure's opening, allowing the rider to perform planting and harvesting work while seated. I had just been thinking how convenient it would be to have a vehicle in the other world while we were rescuing Pale Horse Battalion. When I saw these things moving around in tobacco fields on Ishigaki Island, it seemed just right. It ran on treads, so it would be fine on uneven terrain, and it just so happened to be a 2-seater, too. Wow, wouldn't that be perfect for Toriko and me? I'll buy it. Credit cards sure are a convenience, huh? Sorabo, you actually bought it? Even Toriko was acting surprised, so I panicked. Uh-huh. You approved, too, didn't you? You did, right? Did I? Not a reassuring response. Well, I was drinking too, so I couldn't be that confident in my memories either. What I want to ask is, why was it sent to my house? There was a vein pulsing in Kazakura's pale forehead. Probably because there's nowhere to put it at my place, you know? Ha ha. Don't you ha me. What are you gonna do with this? I absolutely can't take it for you. Oh, no, I'll use it. I'll be taking it to the other world. How? I'll find a gate it can fit through, and then... When? What do you mean, when? When I answered her question with a question, Kozakura exploded. I'm telling you to move it already. If this thing isn't off my doorstep in 3 days from now, I'm going to harvest the grass in Shakuji Park, roll cigarettes with it, and force you to smoke them. Now hurry up and find a gate. That's one depressing looking... Oh, first Bloom Into You and now Otherside Picnic. Yeah, yeah. One depressing looking ornament. Never order expensive stuff from Amazon drunk, especially with... Yeah, right? Don't order farm equipment while drunk. Chapter 3. Gates are pretty hard to come by, huh? I was hoping there'd be one nearby, but no such luck. It was a few hours after we'd practically been thrown out of Kozakura's house. Toriko and I were in a private room in a rest stop at Shakuji Park, resting our weary legs. Having been walking out around in the heat, we were obviously exhausted. I was dripping with sweat, so the breeze that came in from the open balcony felt good. There was the plate from the order of curry rice in front of me, and the tray from the large order of cold soba noodles in front of Toriko. We'd finished both. They've got beer, you know, Toriko said, leaning her head back and looking at the menu posted on the wall. Her usually silky blonde hair was matted to the nape of her neck with sweat today. I groaned approvingly, despite myself, then hurriedly shook my head. No, it's still too early. If we drink now, we're finished. Finished, huh? I have to admit, it's super tempting, though. Setting aside how we were going to transport the AP-1 to it, we'd just been tasked with finding an easy-to-use gate. There were a number of gates we'd used to go back and forth through the other world, but most were either no longer usable or in Okinawa, so they weren't practical. The only stable one was the elevator in Jimbusho, and even that one wasn't guaranteed to last forever. We wanted a gate that was in an accessible place in the surface world, and which required only a short time to pass through the interstitial space between the surface and the other side. I didn't know of anything that convenient existed, but if I could find a connection to the other world using my right eye, then Toriko might be able to force it open with her left hand. We would use that to search for a usable gate, or maybe develop one of our own. That was our intention when we were setting out from Kozakura's house, and spent a few hours roaming the neighborhood. Up to this point, we hadn't even found a place that looked like it might be what we were after. The gate in Umiya was the back door of an abandoned building. The one in Jimbusho is an elevator, and Chishibu's was a torii gate at a shrine. If it were someplace like a door or a corridor, that'd be easy to understand, Toriko said, resting her elbows on the low table. The short UV protection glove that covered her translucent left hand. Was it made of silk or linen? It might feel like a bother to have her wear it, but it looked comfortable. But it's not necessarily going to be like that, right? When we used Toshaku-sama's hat in Shinjuku, we couldn't tell where the gate started or ended. Yeah, we jumped into a train from Kisaragi Station, and the gate to the U.S. Forces training ground was the area around the offering box itself. We went through a hollow in a tree to get to Naha, too. There's not much in common between them, huh? I was surprised when we suddenly came out onto the roof of a building that time. I'd expected to come out somewhere in Okinawa, but that was a street bustling with tourists. I'm just glad we didn't appear in the middle of the crowd, still touting assault rifles. That reminded me of something. When we returned from the other side of the surface, it didn't really feel like we passed through an interstitial space. The elevator required a certain process on the way there, but it brought us back immediately, and in cases where we had forced open a gate, like the times we encountered Hishaku-sama or Kankandara, we were back in the surface world in no time. The one exception would be the train we used to return from Kisaragi Station. From the surface to the other side, and from the other side to the surface, was there some meaning behind the asymmetry there? I was mulling it over when Toriko looked over my shoulder. Oh, a cat! I turned to look, and a light brown tabby cat was walking past through the shadow cast by the building. It had no collar, but was well groomed for a stray. Probably never missed a meal hanging around a place like this. When a parent and child who'd been drinking ramune outside the shop went over to give it some attention, The cat darted into the bushes to avoid the hassle. Do you think ninja cats use shuriken? Toriko asked. I shook my head. I think they had these jagged metal blades. Whoa, scary. What's with that? I think that's how the story went. Did the girl who was asking for you for advice say that? No, that's not it. I was about to say something, then I had a flash of realization. What was that just now? Where did the bit about jagged metal blades come from? Akari Seto never said a word about them. Huh? Sorowo? Toriko leaned over the low table, pressing her right hand against my cheek. Looking closely at my confused face, she spoke to me in a concerned tone. Are you okay? Want me to slap you in the face? Huh? Why so violent? I thought it might help you wake up. No thank you. Please don't. As I watched Toriko's hand pull away, I tried to sort out my thoughts. I had gotten the sense that something was off when we were talking at Kazakura's house. I remember why now. I remembered. The Ninja Cat's copy pasta that had spread across the net as a funny meme had, in fact, originated as a ghost story. Lately, I've been targeted by ninja cats. The post seemed complete in and of itself, but there was actually more to it. The poster was on 2 channels of Cold Board, and was legitimately seeking advice about being attacked by ninja cats. 2-legged cats that carried jagged metal blades. The impact of the concept was so great I'd completely forgotten. What kind of story was it? I tried pulling it up on my smartphone, but it wasn't easy to find. It was a minor ghost story buried in a forest of internet lore. According to my vague memories, a number of volunteers tried to catch the ninja cats on film. Then the whole thing faded out without anyone really understanding what had happened. When I explained that to Toriko, she gave me a look that said she'd figured as much. See, I told you it had something to do with the other world. I thought it was strange from the beginning. I mean, there's no way she'd bring up that weird old story just to tease someone she'd never talked to before. Sure, that's true, but you're arguing with the benefit of hindsight. You're just not very perceptive, Sorowo. While I was getting upset about how rude she was, Toriko's hands reached out for my face again. I brushed them away and said, "Don't try to rub my face all the time. What are you doing that for?" It's fine. No, it's not fine at all. You got her contact info, right? Why not give her a call? I don't wanna. It's too much of a hassle. You're not gonna help her? There's no way to be sure the other world's involved. It's just your theory. Besides, we have other things to do, I said, then stood up. Let's go. If we don't hurry and find that gate, we're gonna be forced to smoke grass. I don't want that. Hi, Jazz. Welcome in. I need Kazakura-san to buy that shell soon, too. That's what we originally came to get done, but she chased us off. When we escaped from the beach in the other world, we'd gained a translucent spiral shell, almost as if in exchange for Shaku-sama's hat. It was a foreign object from the other world, which, if you stared into it, lets you see infinite spirals. For the moment, it was the only object we could convert to cash. Until Kazakura's anger subsided, it was of no use to us, though. Okay. Well, once we find a gate, let's help her. I'll think about it. Only think about it? I left the rest stop together with a dissatisfied Toriko. Squinting my eyes against the sunlight as I put on a hat, I happened to turn around. I saw the light brown tabby cat from before, sitting in the bushes, staring at me. You got some hot cocoa? That's awesome. I hope you're having a great end to your weekend. If only there was a certain Kumajo in training that could summon portals to the other world. Portal magic's a bit beyond me right now. Chapter 4. Let's find a gate while it's light out, then drink beer when night comes. That had been our emotional support, but now our search, which had taken us all over Shikuji Park on a hot day, was about to end in failure. I couldn't meet Toriko's eyes as she sat down across the table from me. Hey! Hey, it's just the first day. Let's not let it bug us, I said. Sorowo? This beer is good. Where do you want to look tomorrow, Toriko? Sorowo. Do you want to try stopping at every station along the Cebu line? Sorbo-san, how about we take a reality check? Okay. I hung my head, laying my mug of beer on the table. We were in a tavern near the station that served yakitori. Looking out the window, it was impossible not to notice the number of cats out front. Things had changed just after we left the park. The cats trailed us from behind. These were ordinary cats that walked on four legs, of course. Given what we'd been talking about just before, it did make me uneasy, but at that point I still had my composure. I thought the way they earnestly pumped their legs, following us in the shadows, was adorable. However, as time passed, things got weird. The number of cats gradually grew, from 1 to 2, then from 2 to 3. Out of the alleyways, over the walls, and from the shadows, new cats appeared to join a procession led by me and Toriko. When we stopped, the cats stopped too, and if we approached them, they scattered. They wouldn't let us touch them, but when we gave up and started walking again, they were soon in line behind us. I couldn't help but be worried about what was going on behind us, which ultimately prevented us from making much progress on our gate hunt. It wasn't dark out yet, but we called off the search by 6 p.m. in the evening and fled into a tavern. Outside, we could hear people crying out in surprise at the unusual sight of all these cats lounging around and taking pictures. There were over 10 of them, so it made for quite a scene. I was watching them from my seat at the window, dead tired, when the yakitori plate we'd ordered arrived. This absolutely has to be caused by the story you were told, right? Toriko said as she snatched a chicken and onion skewer. Or maybe cats just like the smell of yakitori? How about you stop using arguments that you don't even believe yourself? Okay. Having no response to that, I dejectedly chewed on a piece of gizzard. The other world read the images of terror in our minds and manifested them as aberrations. If this hypothesis was correct, ninja cats might fit that pattern. I don't really get it, but we're already caught up in this. That girl who asked you for advice, Sato-san, was it? I'm telling you, you should try contacting her, Toriko said, bringing her face up to the window and squinting at the cats outside. I don't see any particularly ninja-y ones out there, though. You think they'll show up too eventually? Or are these little guys going to suddenly get up on their hind legs and come at us with blades? If they're hiding blades in their fur, that's more surprising than actually scary. I don't think it's going to happen. Either way, I think it's a weird situation we're in. Let's give her a call. We could even do it right now. But... When I resisted the idea, Toriko looked concerned. What's the matter, Sorobo? That's weird. Not really. No. Usually while you might grumble, when someone's in trouble, you help them, right? Why are you so against it this time? Come on, tell me. When Toriko looked straight at me, I hesitantly confessed. I'm not so good with ghost stories that involve cats. Huh? You're a cat hater? No way. I love cats. That's why I don't want to experience scary stories that involve them. I wouldn't want to become afraid of them. Okay. I think I get it. But if the other world is involved, even if they might look like cats, they might actually be something else, right? But then I'd have to shoot them, wouldn't I? Huh? Toriko looked at me dumbfounded. Cats are cute. I don't want to shoot them, I mumbled between bites of chicken breast with wasabi. Toriko looked at me, blinking, then slowly nodded her head. Got it. Leave it to me. If anything puts you in danger, I'll be the one to... Whoa, hold on. What are you saying? I looked back at Toriko with disbelief. Don't you think cats are cute, Toriko? They're cute, sure, but animals are stronger than humans, so I don't let my guard down with them. Still, pointing a gun at them is a bit much. Come on, Sorobo. What I'm talking about are some cat-like monsters that are coming at us with jagged blades, not the little guys lazing around out there. I don't know what's up, but if we leave things like this, they may become our enemies too, you know. You like cats, don't you? Don't you want to spend your rest of your life? Do you want to spend your rest of your life in fear of them? No way. Then call her. What we need to do is the same as always, right? Find the ninja cats, use your right eye to reveal their true form, then take them out. Problem solved. Simple, right? If you won't make the call, I will. Give me the number, would you? Fine, I'll call. My resistance finally collapsing, I pulled out my phone. Retrieving the tag that was still stuffed in my pocket, I took a deep breath, then dialed the number written on it. She answered on the third ring. Hello, Seto speaking. This is Kamakoshi. Oh, Senpai, you called! Her surprisingly chipper voice left me feeling a bit deflated. I could hear the sounds of daily life from the other side of the phone. Did she live with her family? So about the thing you were asking for advice about yesterday, is now a good time? Yes, you mean the ninja cats, right? Yeah. Has your situation changed at all? No, it's the same as ever. How about you, Senpai? Were you able to see something? See something? With spirit vision or something like that. Oh, so that's what she meant. For a moment there, I thought she knew about my right eye's power, and I felt pretty shocked. I'm telling you, I'm not like that. But you are able to give me advice, right? I wouldn't get your hopes up too high. For now, I'd like to meet up and talk. Can you come out to Ikebukuro? Tomorrow, maybe? Yes, I'll be there. Thank you very much. Hi, Barry. Thank you for the check-in. Sure. I'll message you the time and place. Thank you for the hydrate. Sure. I'll message you the time and place. I hung up, then let out a sigh. Calling people I didn't know always made me feel tense. While I was trying to focus myself again, Toriko reached out with her right hand and tried to pat me on the head. What? You managed to make the call. Good girl. You're clearly making fun of me, right? Not at all. While I was batting her arm away, a cilantro salad arrived. Will you come with me too tomorrow? I asked Toriko when she withdrew her hand. Toriko tilted her head to the side and smiled. Wouldn't I just be in the way of your little date? I'm kidding. Don't make that face, Toriko said with a laugh, putting some of the salad on her plate. I was mad, so rather than respond, I stole her share of the gizzard and ate it. Plot twist, Toriko and Zoro will have catnip that have those cats follow them. Yeah, right. Not to mention lions would feel more dangerous than... I mean, depends on how well they're armed, I guess. Okay. Chapter 5. Ah, Senpai! Over here! 11 o'clock a.m. When I headed for the underground plaza by the metropolitan entrance of JR Ikebukuro Station, Akari Seto spotted me first and was waving her arms. The way her voice carried well and her gestures showed no sign of caring what others might think already had me intimidated. Still, I was glad that she was the one to call out to me. We'd only met briefly the day before yesterday, so I was less than confident I'd be able to recognize her. Today, she was wearing a large t-shirt and denim jeans, giving her a rough look. She also carried a basket bag made from all-natural materials. As for me, I was wearing a striped t-shirt with a shirt over it, along with white bottoms and sneakers. On my head, I wore the low-brimmed newsboy cap I bought in Naha. When we first met in the university cafeteria, I was in the sort of totally relaxed outfit I would only wear around the neighborhood, but today I'd managed to dress myself properly. This was the best I could do, so give me a break. When we were at Kisaragi Station, Toriko told me to dress well enough so that my showy right eye didn't stand out, so I was trying my hardest. Thank you for coming. I hope you'll be able to help me today, Akari Seto said. No, don't get your hopes up, okay? Seriously, I answered, feeling overpowered by her. Do you want to get tea somewhere? I'm paying. Hold on a moment. There's another person coming too. Huh? Who might that be? She seemed surprised, so I told her. Her name is Nishina. She's the one who told me to help you out. Oh, I see. Is she a specialist in this stuff like you are, Senpai? No, I told you, it's not like that. As I was trying to deny it, a voice came from behind me. Hey there, I'm a specialist. When I turned around, Toriko was there. Thank you for the check-in right there. When I turned around, Toriko was there. Today, she was wearing a shirt with frilly ruffled sleeves and a corset skirt with a flower pattern. On her head, she wore a narrow-brimmed straw hat. Like always, this woman was rocking an outfit that would never have looked good on me. Morning, Sororo. What's up? Why the sharp look? Morning. I was just thinking how pretty you are today, too. Huh? Compliments this early in the morning? You're making me blush. Shoot, I shouldn't have said that. Perhaps having been caught by surprise, Sato seemed a bit bewildered. Are you Nishina-san? Nice to meet you. Toriko smiled. Toriko's fine. You're Akari? Oh, yes. Nice to meet ya. It was the same when she met me, so I guess Toriko just goes by her first name by default. I guess I'll follow suit. Oh, hold on, Toriko. Since when were you a specialist? Can't I be? Wouldn't you say we really are specialists? I mean, we've survived so far. I feel like we've been treading the line between life and death pretty much every time, though. As she listened to me and Toriko argue, Akari's face gradually darkened. It really is dangerous then, like I thought. Huh? No, I wonder about that. For some reason, I hesitated to say it. There was nothing to wonder. If the other world was involved, it was obviously dangerous. For now, let's hear your story. What are these ninja cats like? Cute? Do you have a video or anything? Toriko asked in a lively voice. Let's go inside somewhere first, I interjected. You don't need to cover Toriko's drinks too. Huh? Oh, sure. Akari nodded meekly, together with Toriko, who protested. Why not? Isn't that kind of mean? We got aboard the elevator that went above ground. So, you know how cats have a way of gathering around? Once we had secured seats for ourselves in an Italian tomato cafe, just before the lunch rush, Akari immediately started talking. It was about a month ago. I ran into a gathering of cats. It was evening. I was just coming out of the convenience store after stopping there on the way back from university when I heard hushed voices. There was something weird about them. Akari hesitated at that point, so Toriko pressed her for more information. What do you mean, weird? It was a baby's voice, then an old man's voice, then a high-pitched voice like a Vocaloid speaking in turn. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but I could hear them repeatedly saying, "We found the mark," and "It'll come soon." It seemed strange, so I went around behind the convenience store to look, and there were a whole lot of cats. Close to 20 of them, scattered all around the parking lot. They all turned to glare at me, and then, whoosh, they took off. At the time, all I thought was, oh, I guess I was interrupting. Sorry. But from then on, every night... Oh my gosh, thank you so much for the resub. Never. 46 months is wild. Thank you so much. Akari pulled out her smartphone, laying it on top of the table. This is from yesterday. I took it right after Senpai called. When she pressed the play button on the video, it showed the curtains in front of her window. The moment she raised the volume, there was a sound of an impact against the window. Thud. Bang. There was something intermittently beating on the window from outside. A hand stretched out from the right side of the camera, pulling back the curtain. It was dark outside, and inside the room that was reflected in the glass, for an instant you could see Akari in a neat room, holding up in her phone, wearing indoor clothes. She brought the camera closer to the window, and it showed the outside. No one's there, or so I thought, but two yellow lights shone in the darkness. There was a squeaky voice, like the recording of someone speaking on fast forward. Then the 2 points of light quickly approached the window. The screen shook, pulling back from the window. Then the person recording the video's hand hurriedly grabbed the curtain, pulling it back. Bam! There was another loud noise from the window. Then silence. After several seconds, the perspective tilted, and the video came to an end. Well? Akari asked. That happens every night? Yes. If I put up with it for a while, it goes quiet, though. I could remember the sounds I heard on the phone call with her yesterday. Could it be that the noises I'd assumed came from her family were actually caused by this? Those yellow eyes are from a ninja cat? Toriko asked as we rewound the video. Probably. I usually make a point of not opening the curtain, so I haven't gotten a proper look, but I believe it's the same as the ones that tail me when it's light out. You haven't gotten them on film? I've tried, but it never turns out right. Akari scrolled through the photos on her phone. There was a picture of a residential street with a black shadow in the corner, a blurry shot of something lurking across the road, a picture of a plain, ordinary cat on top of a slide in the park. Normally, if someone told me she was being pursued by ninja cats, and this was all she had to show you, I wouldn't know what to do about it. Normally. Come to think of it, in the original Ninja Cat story, the person reporting their experiences tried to take pictures, but they were only able to upload blurry images in the end. What made you want to help me? You didn't have any intent in helping me before, right, Senpai? Akari asked, mystified, as Toriko and I were both leaning in close to each other, looking at blurry photos. I answered her honestly. We got caught up in this. We don't have a choice. Caught up in it? After hearing your story, I've had a clouder of cats stalking me too. Haven't spotted any ninja cats yet, though. After we left the tavern and went home the night before, the cats yowling outside my window made it real tough to get to sleep. Apparently, it was the same at Toriko's place. When I left the house this morning, I didn't see any cats, so maybe they gave up and scattered. Well, that's my fault then, right? Yep. Don't worry, it's no biggie. We're used to it, Toriko said arbitrarily. Wow, have you been through a lot of experiences like this? A fair few, right, Sorobo? Well, yeah. Was that respect I detected on Akari's face? Her eyes were sparkling. It made me feel awkward, so I looked away. Still, it was true. From an objective standpoint, we'd have more of these sorts of experiences than just about anyone. I don't know that there is any value in that, though. Akari said she'd gone to temples and shrines, but none of them had had any effect. It was little wonder. If it was a spirit or a curse, something all too common like that, then there were offerings that could be made, purification rituals that could be performed. There were protocols for dealing with them. Whether those things actually existed or not, they could offer their services and advice on how to deal with the matter. But ninja cats? Who was going to take that seriously? She'd be laughed off, and that would be the end of it. Normally. Hesitantly, I opened my mouth. You're right. If it's this sort of strange topic, I doubt there's many people more qualified to give you advice on it than we are. There was clearly a bizarre situation unfolding, and existing religions had no way of dealing with it. That could be said to be typical of the aberrations reported on in true ghost stories and net lore. The Kunekune, the Time-Space-Man, Kisaragi Station, an exorcism wouldn't do anything to these aberrations. The stories of Ishaku-sama and Kankandara had some element of traditional religion in them, but in those cases they only barely sealed the aberration's actions. They didn't provide a fundamental solution. Looking at it that way, Ninja Cats was actually the same. It wasn't scary in the least, though. Looks like you're in the mood for this now, huh? Said Toriko. I let out a sigh of resignation. Okay, I guess I'll have to. Let's take out some Ninja Cats. Okay. Thank you. Akari's face sparkled. That said, though, I wasn't going to be able to point a gun at cats after all. I didn't want to do it, and if anyone caught it on video, it'd go viral online. No, I guess I'd be going to jail for violating the guns and swords law first, huh? Here's hoping ninja cats aren't cute, I muttered to myself. Oh, yeah, the ninja cats. Could you tell us exactly what they look like? Toriko asked Akari. Oh, let's see, Akari said, then trailed off. What's wrong? They look just like that. When I looked in the direction she was pointing, I saw a small shadow standing on top of the counter. A cat. That's what it looked like. A cat standing on two legs. It stood maybe 50 to 60 centimeters tall. It had gray fur that reminded me of a Russian blue, and it wore tattered black clothes. In one hand, though I had no idea how, it was holding a katana-like weapon with a jagged blade. While I was still dumbfounded, another revealed itself from beneath the counter. This one's fur was black. It wore a hooded cape, and it carried a vicious-looking weapon with a scythe-like blade coming off it in all directions. It was just like a throwing knife from Central Africa. Ninja cats! Toriko and I cried out in unison. Akari was right. I don't think you could call these things anything but ninja cats. The other customers and staff had to notice, and they were going to make a scene, or so I thought, but at some point every single person had vanished from the busy cafe. The other tables had steaming coffee cups, plastic cups with condensation on the outside, and half-eaten chocolate croissants and French toast, as if anyone had just gotten up out of their seats right now and left them behind. I was surprised by the number of yelling voices I suddenly heard, and when I looked out the window, there was nothing but cats. On the road and on the sidewalk, cats, cats, cats. On the other side of the cats, I could see a car had crashed into an electrical pole and stopped. Even though there had been no sound from the crash, what broke through from the front windshield and came out lying on top of the bonnet was clearly not human. Yo, thank you so much for the resub, Twixt. Thank you so much. 16 months, that's wild. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it so much. What broke through the front windshield and came out lying on top of the bonnet was clearly not human, but a creature that, with its sleek black body and short fins, looked like a deep-sea fish. The cats perched on the roof of the car were peering down curiously at the fish as it flopped around. "This is the man's world," Toriko shouted. This was the interstitial space between the surface and otherworld where the time spaceman appeared. It maintained the image of the surface world, but with disturbing elements scattered around, and might have been no less dangerous than the otherworld was during daytime. That was the sort of place we'd been transported to without warning. "Keep alert! They're coming!" Akari rose from her seat, raising her voice sharply. Immediately, the two ninja cats jumped down to the floor, rushing towards us. Before I had time to respond, something obstructed my vision. It was a cream-colored square board, the plastic tray that held our drinks. The moment I recognized it, something sharp tore through the tray and stopped just short of my nose. Whoa! The tray fell to the floor as I rose from my seat in a panic. The African throwing knife was firmly embedded in it. "You okay, senpai?" Unable to respond, I simply nodded. It was apparently Akari who just protected me. Toriko stood in front of me, her hand thrust into a tote bag. The two ninja cats must have sensed she was about to pull a gun on them, because they jumped backwards. "Toriko, hold on, wait." I hurriedly put a hand on Toriko's shoulder. "Huh? What?" "That's not a good idea," I said in a low voice, and Toriko blinked, finally seeming to get it. Normally we could whip out our guns right away, but we had Akari with us today. "Well, what do you suggest we do then?" "I dunno. Let's just run for now." There were ninja cats between us and the exit to the cafe. When I looked deeper inside, in addition to the washroom, there was also a door that appeared to be for employees only. If we went there, maybe we can get outside through a window or a back door? "This way. Follow me." Without waiting for a response, I raced to the back of the cafe. Toriko and Akari followed. Once we'd crossed the empty cafe and reached the door, there was a sign saying, "Entry by non-cats is prohibited." None of us were cats, but what did we care now? I opened the door, and there was an employees' lounge. There were steel racks which held bags that no doubt belonged to employees, hangers with uniforms, and a list of ships posted on the wall. On the other side of the narrow space, there was another door, this one leading outside, like I'd thought. Taking advantage of the lack of anyone to object, I brazenly walked in. Toriko and Akari were right behind me. Just as Akari, who was bringing up the rear, closed and locked it behind her, a jagged sword pierced through the plywood door. "Whoa!" Akari raised her voice as she backed away. The sword made a sawing noise as it was pulled back out of the door. The glint of a cat's eye shone on the other side of the hole. "Yikes! They're merciless, huh? That's a ninja for you," Toriko said, shaking her head in exasperation. "Akari, those things have been chasing you for this whole month?" "Yeah, they just tailed me at first, but things got more and more intense. For the past week, I've been running home." "I'm amazed you're still alive." "Well, it was pretty dangerous." As I stared in disbelief at how calmly Akari was saying this, our gazes met, and she smiled shyly. "I do karate, you see." Huh? Was that supposed to be an explanation? Oh, I see. Your moves were pretty incredible there. They went for Sorbo and I got worried, but you'd already reacted, Toriko said, sounding impressed. I hadn't even realized they were targeting me. Yeah, I do karate, so, What's with this girl? No, I didn't have time to think about that now. There was a splintering sound, and an African throwing knife stabbed through the door. The ninja cat swung it several more times, like it was an axe, and chunks of wood went flying. Oh crap, we gotta get out of here, I said, and the other two nodded. I rushed to the back door, turned the knob, and opened it. My feet were ready to fly out the door, but then came to a sudden stop. Whoa, don't just stop, Toriko, who ran into the back of me, said, her words trailing off. Out of the back door, the densely packed buildings rose up like steep cliffs. There was a metal catwalk, about the same width as the doorframe, that continued for about 10 meters, and there was nothing beneath. At the bottom of that cliff, there seemed to be running water. The cliffs and buildings continued to both the left and the right, with similar bridges and catwalks going across the divide here and there. The buildings across from us were filthy, like the bag of a mixed residential building. It was crisscrossed with balconies, emergency exits, air conditioners, ladders, catwalks, and ducts. They were awfully small, not human-sized. The catwalks were narrow, and the height of each individual floor was maybe half of what you would normally have expected. The stairs were awfully steep, too. The footholds carved into that overhang wall must have been impassable for anyone who wasn't a rock climber. A cat town? What Toriko said matched my own impression. After seeing all the cats out front earlier, I hadn't expected this town to be particularly normal either, but this was beyond what I had imagined. What is this? Akari was obviously surprised by all this. I knew the area around me got kinda weird whenever the ninja cats attacked, but this is a first. So, basically, ninja cat attacks were accompanied by a shift into the interstitial space? That was the same as a space-time man, wasn't it? The door was being busted down behind us. This was no time to be staring off into space. We had to move onward, no matter where that meant we would go. Let's go. Having made up my mind, I stepped out onto the narrow bridge. The rusty metal groaned beneath my feet. Though the catwalk had railings, they were low, only coming up to about my knees. They weren't going to stop me from falling. In fact, if I stumbled, there was a good chance I would trip over them, so that actually made it scarier. I crossed the bridge at a jog, then looked for paths we could take. If I got down on our knees, it looked like there was a series of footholds going along the sides of the cliff we could follow. I cautiously followed the catwalk where one misstep might send me pitching head over heels to the bottom. The sun didn't reach the bottom of the cliffs, and it was dark, so consequently I ended up looking straight upwards. It felt like I was going to fall, and it was scary, but I couldn't convince myself to go inside the buildings. Looking into the open windows, there were tatami rooms with small-sized bamboo mats, and hardwood floor corridors with channels for water laid in them. The ceilings were low, and if we entered carelessly, we might not be able to move around inside. There was the creaking of a door from below. I looked down to see the two ninja cats coming out from the back from earlier. They were looking towards us as we crawled along the face of the cliff. "They're here already!" Akari shouted down from the rear, telling me something I already knew. The ninja cats looked at one another, then began crossing the catwalk. We started climbing again, this time at a faster pace. This path wasn't made for humans, making it a difficult athletic challenge. I was somewhat used to climbing up and down from my time exploring ruins, and Toriko was a stamina monster, so Akari was doing a good job just being able to keep up with us. Was this because she did karate too? We were all doing this on a summer day, so I was already drenched with sweat. If I knew this was going to happen, I'd have worn clothes that were easier to move around in. I felt like I was going to die, crawling along a set of stairs so steep they felt like they were at a right angle, and we came out into an open space halfway up the wall. It was a space on top of a concrete roof where we could walk around. The walls still continued upward, but we were at our limit. Even as we climbed further, it was only a matter of time before they caught up to us. Thank you for the follow, Kitsune no Kokoro. Welcome in, welcome in. I heard the rustle of clothes closing in from below, and the two ninja cats scaled those stairs which had given us so much trouble in no time, and appeared again. Having been cornered against the edges of the open space, the three of us glared at the ninjas through wheezing breaths. Akari stepped forward with resolve. She put her own bag down on the ground, then struck a karate-like fighting stance. Wait! Please, run away! I'll buy time for the two of you, senpai! No, we can't have you doing that. No, it was my fault, getting you mixed up in this. This was all very brave of her, but no matter how good she was at karate, ninja cats with blades drawn and ready were still a terrifying threat. They had 2 ninjas on their side, while we had 1 karate fighter on ours. Wait, what was this? When I thought about this, I felt like I was going crazy. While I was panicking, trying to find a way out of our predicament, Toriko said, Sorowo, enough! I'm using this! And made the shape of a gun with her fingers. You can't! Oh my gosh! Welcome in, Raiders! Hello! Welcome. Hello, Kitsune no Kokoro. Thank you so much for the raid. How was your ASMR stream? Incoming from the shadows. Let's go. Welcome. Thank you so much. How was your ASMR stream? I hope it was good. Thank you so much for the follow. Amaterasu Dragon. Welcome in. Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. Incoming from the shadows. Let's go. Thank you so much for the raid. It went very lovely. Very well. Thank you so much. Lovely to meet you as well. Hello, everybody who came in with Kitsune's raid. If you are not familiar with me, my name is Sucrose Shigaki, Kumajo in training. I am a variety streamer and magical girl bear VTuber, and I mostly focus on retro style content when I'm not doing ASMR. On Sunday nights, though, I do cozier content here, whether that's cozy gaming or full-on ASMR streams. Tonight we are reading from a light novel called Otherside Picnic. It's one of my favorite light novels, and yeah, we've been working our way through it pretty slowly. Right now I'm on file number 7. The story is called Attack of the Ninja Cats. Seems very cozy. Lovely to meet you too, Spectrax. Thank you. So what was I saying? Yes, if you need to raid and run, I completely understand. Please take care of yourselves post-stream, both you and your raiders. But if you do want to hang out and listen to me read a bit more of the story, I think we're closing in on the end of this file, but you're more than welcome to be here, and I'm super happy to have you. Thank you so much again for the raid. I really do appreciate it. And Kitsune no Kokoro, if you have a particular trigger you would like to ask for, because I do also still do trigger requests here, even when I'm doing the book reading stream. I'm more than happy to do that for you. So, yep. Have a wonderful night, Blazer. Sleep well. Thank you for hanging out. But yeah, I will do whichever of those triggers you would like to ask for, and don't worry about channel points or anything like that. For everybody else, we do have a channel point redeem for it. Sorry if I said before, but what is this? Wait, what are we talking about? Hang on, which one is it? Oh, it's the makeup brush, please. Absolutely. Okay, do I have that handy? Where is it actually? Give me just 1 second. It's should be here somewhere. I think it might have fallen on the ground. Okay, I found it. You didn't have to hear me, like, rummaging around on the desk. But yeah, Teddy Yakama, that is related to the stream avatars, your little sugar cube beads down there on the bottom. Every so often there will be a little star that bounces around. All the people at the bottom, followers or subs, they are followers. So if your little collider bee runs into the star, you gain points that you can use for doing recolors for your avatar. But anyways, let me go ahead and get this makeup brush here. Actually, I can probably do both at once. But yeah, anybody who is following and is active in chats has their own little collider bee, sugar cube bee avatar along the bottom. And we do have, thank you for the follow, Spectrax. So yours should generate now. Oh my gosh, what? Oh my gosh. Starlight! Oh my gosh, hi. Welcome in. Welcome in, Starlight. How was the tournament? How did it go? Oh my gosh, thank you so much, KK Josh Joker, for the follow. Welcome in. Okay, hang on. Let me finish up this redeem real quick. And then I'll say hi to the raid. Ajita 1, your life is complete. Fantastic. Hello, hello. Okay, a little bit more here of this. Hello, Cat Maniac. Hello, everybody who came. I just did this, but I'll do it again. It's totally fine. Hello, everybody who came in with Starlight's raid. If you are not familiar with me, my name is Sucrose Yuri Shigeki, Kumajo in training. I am a variety streamer and a magical girl bear VTuber. I mostly focus on retro style content. However, I also play a lot of Grand Blue Rising. So I tend to do Grand Blue streams on Thursdays. So if you want to come by and see me play Grand Blue, you're more than welcome to do that on Thursdays. I've wanted to take part in Starlight's tournaments for a while. It's just the timing has never worked out, unfortunately. But yeah, on Sunday nights, I do cozier content here. Whether that's, cozy gaming or full ASMR streams. Tonight, I'm doing some book reading from a light novel called Otherside Picnic. But yeah, you're going to be grabbing food and lurking. Hope you have it. Yeah, absolutely, Starlight. Thank you so much again for the raid. I really do appreciate it. And that goes for everybody else too. If you guys need to raid and run, I know especially post-tournament, you guys are probably tired. If you need to head out from here, that's totally fine. However, if you do want to hang out and listen to the end of this story, you're more than welcome to be here, and I'm super happy to have you. Thank you again so much for the raid. And like I said before, I do Grand Blue streams on Thursdays. If that's a thing you ever want to come by and see, and you want to drop me a follow, and you want to come check me out, I would super appreciate that too. Obviously, you don't have to do that, but if you like my vibes, if you like what I am doing here, and you're not put off by the fact that I'm a Versusia main, then yeah, come check me out on Thursdays. Anyways. Okay, we do have trigger requests that people can put in with channel points here. They are right there. So people can put in for those if you want. However, I will get to those in between chapters. This was all very brave of her, but no matter how good she was at karate, ninja cats with blades drawn and ready were still a terrifying threat. They had 2 ninjas on their side, while we had 1 karate fighter on ours. Wait, what was this? When I thought about it like this, it felt like I was going crazy. While I was panicking, trying to find a way out of our predicament, Toriko said, "Sorowo, enough. I'm using this," and made the shape of a gun with her fingers. You can't?" I said, flustered. "Come on, there's no other way to do this. We need to make this girl our accomplice too." What do you mean? What do you mean this? Oh. What do you mean this? You keep quiet, I shouted at Akari, and then leaned in close to Toriko and quickly whispered, She can't be our accomplice. No way. Stop it. Why? Because... When I raised my voice in irritation, Toriko looked back at me, mystified. Jeez. You're the one who said it. Being accomplices is the closest kind of relationship in the world. You said it first. She can be a victim, I said, keeping my voice low. A poor little victim who got dragged in by us. That I can accept. I don't really get it, but sure. Thank you so much for the follow. Is it, Surid? Surreal? Do I have that correct? Hello, Ludwig. Also, thank you, Deep in Chat, for the follow as well. Oblivious to how I was feeling, Toriko thrust her hand into her tote bag. Akari, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a surprise for you, so sorry. Having said that, she drew the Makarov, pulled the slide to check the bullets, and then moved up. From beside her, I could see Akari's jaw drop. Huh? I pulled my Makarov and moved forward too. Sorry, Akari, but if you breathe a word of this to anyone, you're going to pay for it. I tried to make my voice as intimidating as possible, but Akari didn't seem to get it at all, so I immediately regretted it. I shouldn't have done it. There's no correct way to pronounce it. Never had one in mind. Oh, that's awesome. Well, that works. Sorowo, are you already looking? I'll look now. I focused my right eye, like always. The two cats standing on the edge of the roof didn't change. This was something we occasionally encountered in the other world, too. They were the kind that didn't change between my right eye and my left. They really are cats. I don't want to shoot. Get it together. They're coming to kill us. The two cats suddenly moved forward, as if Toriko's voice had been their signal. They charged at an incredible speed, holding their vicious blades at the ready. Their movements weren't cute at all. They were filled with bloodlust. Toriko opened fire. The gunshots echoed off the walls. The ninja cats dodged around, kicking off the wall to leap into the air. In the next instant, a jagged sword was buried in the ground where Toriko had been moments before. Scary, Toriko said, then kept shooting. While I was distracted watching the one carrying the sword crouch low to avoid the point-blank shot, then jump to the side to escape, the other one had run up right next to me before I could notice. In response to the African throwing knife swooping up towards me, I just narrowly managed to turn my gun on towards it. Nearly letting out a shriek of terror, I fired twice, but the bullets just bounced off the concrete. I'm done for. I stared at the approaching blade, unable to do anything more about it, when Akari's foot sprang up from beside me. Aye! With a sharp kiai, she unleashed a forward kick. The knife wielder jumped backwards, putting some distance between them. Her kiai surprised me too, and I stumbled back a bit. With the same gesture she used to lower her kicking leg, Akari took a step forward. You get back, senpai, she said, immediately launching into a low kick. It looked strong enough to break a baseball bat in half, but the ninja cat spun around and moved back to evade it. Wow, you kinda don't need our help, huh? I blurted out, but Akari shook her head with a stern look on her face. It's no good. Thrusts and kicks don't work on these guys. They're speedy little things, and even when I think I've got a hit, it never feels like it connected. Oh, that made sense. These guys looked like they had a physical form, but they were a phenomenon, just like the time spaceman. Even if I could catch them with my right eye, if bullets in karate weren't able to hit them, it wouldn't do us any good. On top of that, these guys would split up to distract us. Toriko, Akari, let's get closer to the wall. If they catch us in between them, we're in trouble. Okay, got it. The three of us clumped together, moving slowly with the wall at our backs. The ninjas closed in on us now too. Then there was a change in how they moved. The two approached Akari's bag, which he'd left on the roof, and they peered at the opening to it. They stuck their heads inside, as if searching it. Sorowo, what are those things doing? Don't ask me. Hey, Akari, what's in that bag? Huh? Just normal stuff. My makeup bag, a battery for my phone. Do you have raw fish in there or something? I don't walk around with stuff like that. I remembered the voices Akari said she'd heard during the gathering of cats. Could it be that Akari had the mark these voices mentioned, and these guys were drawn to it? You really have no idea why they'd be out to get you? This one is sort of a cliche when it comes to real ghost stories, but I think it's likely you abused cats when you were a kid. Not a chance, Akari said indignantly, and I observed her expression closely as she did. She didn't look like she was lying to me, but did I really understand human emotions? Whatever the case, there had to be something, whether she was aware of it or not, some mark that the ninja cats were looking for. I focused on the bag, but there was no change in my right eye's vision. I decided to turn my right eye's focus on Akari herself instead. It had been a while since I did this to a person. The last time I'd done it was with the Time Spaceman, in the ghost town in the other world, when I'd shifted Kazakura's aspects and turned her into a plant. The reason I hadn't used my right eye on a person since then was, honestly, because I was afraid to. Even if it happened under the special condition of being inside a glitch, it frightened me that I'd been able to completely change a person's form through my perception of them. If that sort of thing kept happening, I might eventually lose my ability to recognize people as people. That was the sense I got. More than that, though, when I asked Kazakura about it later, she said she was still conscious as a plant, and I had a super scary experience in a place separate from my own perception. I'd been refraining from using my ability like this because of that, but it was about all I could think to do now. I had to do whatever I could before we got diced up by those nasty-looking blades. Having made up my mind, I caught Akari in my right eye and gasped in surprise. Akari's body faintly glowed from the inside. What's wrong, Surubo? Akari asked, having noticed the change in my expression. Sighing, I explained it to her. There's something inside your body, something that gives off a silver light. Is that... Having noticed the exchange between us, the two ninja cats looked up from the bag. When our eyes met, they started walking towards us again. Akari, you haven't been eating or drinking anything weird, have you? Toriko asked, talking quietly. You didn't snack on offerings at a grave or a cat's food, did you? What? I haven't done anything. That sounded awfully insistent. The complete difference from the way she usually spoke caught me by surprise. Why would you say that, Senpai? You're making me mad. I don't just eat things I pick up off the ground. Her cloying tone of voice rapidly got muddled. Every hair on my body raised as I came to an instinctive realization. She was going crazy. I could only think of one cause. I'd looked at her with my right eye. Toriko, your left hand. When I'd said that, Toriko bit the glove on her left hand and pulled it off. Oh, she was so cool. But wait, I didn't have time to admire her. What do I do with it? Stuff it inside Akari's body. What? Clearly, this wasn't something she could just immediately say yes to, but there was no time to hesitate. The ninja cats were almost upon us, and Akari's eyes were unfocused. If she went totally nuts, we'd have a karate monster on our hands. I grabbed the hem of Akari's t-shirt with one hand, taking Toriko's hesitant hand with the other, then pushed it against Akari's belly, allowing no room for argument. Her translucent left hand buried itself inside Akari's tight muscles without any resistance. Akari let out a groan and doubled over. Ew, you made me touch something weird again, Toriko cried out. From the look on her face, she really, really didn't like it. Bleh. Uh-huh. There's something hard in here. That's it. Pull it out. This is safe, right? When Toriko pulled her fist out, Akari fell to her knees where she stood, then vomited violently. Once I hurriedly took the focus of my right eye off her, Akari looked up at the two of us, gasping for breath, with tears in her eyes. But why'd you punch me in the stomach? Oh good, she was talking normally again. Any idea what this is? Toriko held her left hand in front of Akari's face. There was a little doll in the palm of her hand. It was a simple one, made of ceramic. It had 2 pointed ears on its head. The round, curly thing must have been a tail, Where a face should have been, there was just a single green stone. That thing, wrapped in a silver halo, was unmistakably a foreign object from the other world. "Oh, this is my amulet. I thought I lost it." That was when the two ninja cats let out an intimidating hiss, then suddenly started to run towards us. "Look out!" I pushed Akari out of the way just in time as a sword and knife stabbed into the wall where we had been. Akari and Toriko both fell on their backs. The ninja cats pulled their blades from the wall and were about to swing them down at the two who were unable to move. "Toriko, pass!" I shouted, and Toriko swung her left hand. The ceramic figure slid along the roof, past the ninja cat's feet. As I grabbed it and looked up, the two cats turned their heads towards me. This is it. This is what they were drawn to. When I said that, Akari's eyes went wide. "How long have you had it?" I asked. "Since last year. Someone gave it to me." Even as we were speaking, the ninja cats changed their target to me, and they started closing in. "Sorowo, you can't hold on to that. Hurry up and let go of it," Toriko said, sounding concerned. She was now kneeling with her gun held at the ready. For a moment, I thought about it. If I brought this back, I could get Kazukura to buy it off me, couldn't I? However, that would guarantee I got attacked by the ninja cats. Unfortunately, I'd have to turn it down. Of course I'll let it go. What was that pause for? The ninja cats pounced. I swung my arm, throwing the mud doll as hard as I could towards the cliff. The ceramic doll flew, tracing a lazy parabola. It didn't fly nearly as far as I'd imagined, and my shoulder made a worrisome cracking noise, but it narrowly made it over the edge of the roof. The ninja cats reacted quickly. They didn't so much as look at me after that. They raced sideways at an incredible speed, then jumped off the roof and vanished. When I looked over the edge, for an instant, I could see the green stone on the ceramic doll flicker as it reflected in the sunlight. Two shadows pursued it with terrifying speed, jumping from building to building as it fell to the base of the cliffs. Released from all the tension, I slumped to the ground and sat where I was. Toriko put her glove back on and approached, peering down at me. "There they go." "Yeah, that was scary. I wish I'd cut it out with the physical stuff. I didn't like mental attacks either, but coming to murder me with knives had to be against the rules." Huh? That was what they were after? Why? Where was I even carrying that? Akari was perplexed. "You know, Akari-chan, maybe you were set up by whoever made you carry that weird thing." "Huh? But it was an amulet." Seems she was having trouble accepting that. Well, not that it was surprising she would. We could only guess at their intentions, and there was no way to know if we'd found the optimal answer. If I explained we'd pulled it out from inside her, that would only complicate things, so I opted not to mention it. Still, it was shocking to me that my right eye had messed Akari up like that. The impression I got from Akari at that point was very similar to the disturbing elements in the streets of the interstitial space. If I used this eye on other people, it might change them into something from the other world. I didn't want to imagine what would have happened if I'd kept looking at her like that. Maybe I was right and shouldn't use it on people lately. Well, now the question was how to get back. As I thought about it, putting my hands behind my back, I happened to look up and immediately froze solid. Up above, there were countless cats sticking their heads out of the windows, looking down at us. The very next moment, the cats all jumped out of the windows, racing down the walls in an avalanche. "What?" I screamed as I and Toriko and Akari were all caught in the cat avalanche. The area around me was buried in soft fur, paws, tails, and noses. Enveloped in the unceasing flow of felines, we fell towards the abyss. Let me check and see exactly how much more of this. Okay, we don't have much more. Okay, we can finish this. Chapter 6. The sound of cars, the voices of people, the smell of exhaust and of fast food, the sensory information of the surface world brought me back to my senses. My vision was covered in thin branches. It seemed I was laying on my back in a bush. I immediately stowed my gun and stuck my face out of the bushes. I instantly knew where I was, the public park in front of the art theater above the Metropolitan exit. All those cats that had been around before were nowhere to be seen now. I managed to crawl out of the bushes, snapping branches as I went, and noticed Toriko's hand sticking out of the bush next to me. "Sorowo, help me!" "What are you doing?" "My hair's all tangled." I took Toriko by the hand and pulled. Her hair and clothes were covered in leaves. Thanks. Where's Akari? Over here. I turned towards the voice and found Akari with her face thrust into the base of a bush. And what are you doing? I asked. The stuff in my bag scattered all over, Akari replied. You want help? I'm fine, if you can wait just a moment. While Akari was retrieving her stuff, Toriko and I sat down at the edge of the bushes and waited. I'm gonna jump every time I see a cat for a while. This is why I hate weird stories that involve cats, I said, sighing as I removed the leaves tangled in Toriko's hair. Sorry, it's all because I forced you to come out. You said it. Well, it seems to have worked out in the end, so if I don't have to worry about getting stalked by cats anymore, then whatever, I said. Toriko got a mischievous smile on her face. Well then, how about I be your cat until the emotional scars have healed? Huh? Meow. Toriko looked at me with upturned eyes, making a gesture like that of a Maneke Neko as she did. I'm not a scary cat, meow. Could you not do something so calculatingly cute? I barely forced myself to say, and Toriko tilted her head to the side in response. Why are you so angry, Nya? The way you're ending your sentences. While I was still flipping out over it, Akari came over. Senpai, Toriko-san, thank you. I was at a loss for what to do when she bowed her head to us. Nah, it was no biggie. Treat us to a meal sometime, Toriko said, with no input from me. She had dropped the adorable nyas at the end of her sentences, so I was nearly able to maintain my sanity. Come to think of it, normally, wouldn't we receive some sort of compensation here? I should have said something beforehand, huh? You two are amazing! Are you always doing stuff like that? Akari, be sure you don't say, no, I won't say anything. I mean, come on, I couldn't tell anyone about this nonsense. Well, yeah, you got a point there. But this girl did come to me, a total stranger, for advice about the ninja cats, so she had a record here. I couldn't let my guard down. Sorry about the doll. I threw it away without asking first. No, it's fine. I'd never imagined I was walking around carrying the cause of all my problems. You said someone gave it to you. Who would give you something like that? It had been bothering me, so I asked her about it. I could only imagine that if someone had given Akari an item from the other world to walk around with, there must have been some intent, malicious intent to be specific, behind that action. It was the tutor who was teaching me last year. She said it was an amulet that would help me to get through my entrance exams, so I took good care of it. Huh. What was she like? Do you have her contact information? Yeah, about that. I haven't been able to get in touch with her for some time now. Maybe since around the start of the new year? We've been out of contact for more than half a year now, Akari said sadly, lowering her eyes. Her name was Aruma-sensei. Toriko's eyes widened in shock. She looked like she'd been struck by lightning. Aruma? Satsuki Aruma? Huh? Yeah, that's right. Do you know her too? Akari asked, sounding baffled, but Toriko did not reply. Satsuki Aruma. Toriko's friend who vanished in the other world. The person Toriko adored and who she was still risking her life to search for. I never expected to hear her name from Akari when I first met her. I was shocked, of course, but how much larger was the impact on Toriko? Judging by her earlier reaction, she had been completely unaware that Satsuki-san was seeing other people. I thought she'd grill Akari for more details, but contrary to my expectations, Toriko got very quiet and went home alone. If I considered what happened to both of them, the period when Satsuki Aruma was tutoring Akari Seto, and the period when she told Toriko about the other world and they were exploring it together overlapped. I'm sure Toriko had always believed that she was Satsuki Aruma's greatest confidant, yet here was proof she'd been seeing this other girl without her knowledge. Any excuse it was simply another tutoring job was irrelevant, because Toriko was discovered by Satsuki Aruma when she came to tutor her, and scouted as a companion for exploring the other world. Poor Toriko. I felt like I could sort of understand why she went home without saying anything. I'm sure Toriko would have wanted any information that might be linked to Satsuki-san's disappearance, but she didn't want to hear it from Akari. She might come to terms with her feelings eventually, but it wasn't going to happen right away. Even I, who'd been accused of lacking human emotions, could see that much. That's why the next day, when I sent her a message asking to continue our hunt for a gate, I was unsurprised that her reply was just a stamp saying she was resting because she felt unwell. It's okay, Toriko. You rest up. I understand. Filled with compassion, I got ready and headed out on the quest to discover a gate on my own. Though before that, lest I forget, I was going to turn that seashell-shaped foreign object over to Kozukura first. Kozukura wouldn't cheap out on me, but she needed to prepare before she could trade it for cash, to investigate the object and to get the cash ready. I got off at Shikuji-Koen Station on the Seibu line. After passing through the shopping area, I descended the hill towards the park area and walked into the residential district. The route was already familiar to me. I was in the middle of thinking it'd be so convenient if there were a gate around here, as I looked down the hazy road with my right eye. I'd looked here yesterday too, but just to be safe... No, it wasn't that easy. My eyes were just tired, and I made it to Kozukura's house easily. I entered the gate and winced when I saw the AP-1 still sitting there. Wow, I screwed up. It's no wonder Kozukura was upset. Seriously, how did I plan to bring it to the other world from here? While I was getting exasperated with myself, I looked past the AP-1. There was a gate there. What? I stopped and blinked. There was no doubt about it. That was a gate. In front of the door to Kozukura's house, in a space about 3 meters high and 3 meters across, was a shimmering silver light. Why? What was this doing here? I cried out as the reason occurred to me. Right. Now that I thought about it, hadn't a gate opened here before? It was when we opened the door to deal with the 3 women. A giant face had appeared, and Kozukura and I had been forcibly dragged into the other world. Thinking about it, I'd never consciously chosen to use my right eye here before. That gate had remained here all this time. That was super convenient for me, but when Kozukura found out, she was gonna flip. What are you doing standing there? Kozukura called out to me as I was staring vacantly at the gate, and I snapped back to my senses. Kozukura, who came out the front door wearing sandals, looked out at me dubiously from the shadow of the eaves. Oh, hey, I awkwardly greeted her, which caused Kozukura to realize something was up. Are you worried about how I yelled at you last time? Well, I think I may have said a bit too much. Here I was, cooped up by myself, but strange things kept happening one after another, and I was irritated. Sorry. Oh, no. Did you find a gate? No, there's no way you could have so quickly, right? I found a gate. I did, but... Huh? You did? You work fast. I'm seeing you in a whole new light now. It's nothing to praise me for, really. My voice was growing thinner and thinner. Well, come in. It's hot out here. Do you want ice cream? Seen through the silver haze in front of her door, Kozukura's good-natured smile seemed to sparkle. I walked towards her with heavy steps, wondering how I was going to break the news to her. And that is the end of File 7. Next up, we will have File 8, Little Bird in a Box. Just noticed a second message on a chat window. Huh? Wait. What? Notice the second message on chat window equals sucrose? Eh? What? I don't know what that means. Well, in any case. Okay. I am going to need to, oh, the equal sign on the box. Oh! I see. Okay. I hadn't noticed that before. Interesting. So it is after 12:30, so we are going to need to go ahead and wrap up here. Let me go ahead and pull up our raid target options. But yes, thank you so much for coming to hang out, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the story. we are as soon as what? As soon as you get here. Oh no, I'm sorry, Grisk. I'm so sorry. I will be back again on Tuesday. I'll be streaming some more Blasphemous 2. But yeah, next ASMR stream is going to be a cozy gaming stream. We'll be doing some Pokemon Snap. So 2 weeks from today will be more story time. Well, in any case, let me see. Looking through our usual suspects, I do believe Oh, Kaya is currently live, and I hope she's still going. She's only been going for 2.5 hours. Yeah, okay. I'm almost positive Kaya is still going, so we're going to go ahead and raid out to her. I'm going to go ahead and get that rolling because I need to get to bed. I've got work in the morning. So, those of you coming with me on this raid, we do have a raid message. If you're subscribed and have access to the emotes, it is this. If you're not subscribed, that's totally fine. We've got you covered with this one instead. Please feel free to use either of those as we raid out here to Kaya Moon. That first one does work. It's just Nightbot doesn't actually have access to the emotes. So I'm gonna drop the link to the channel here in case the raid happens to leave you behind. But yeah, I will be back on Tuesday for some Metroidvania action in Blasphemous 2. And until then, you guys, I hope you have a great rest of your night and a good start to your week. And I will see you next time. Have a great night, chat. Sleep well. Good night, chat.